fun, as their attacks barely even register with me. On the flip side, I am just decimating my way through the raiders as the shredder tears through them so fast that their health bar doesn't really even get a chance to show itself depleting before they drop dead. It goes without saying that I definitely underestimated the strength of this upgrade. Honestly, kinda disappointed in myself that after 6.5 years since the game's release, I am only getting around to using it now for the very first time. Anyway, I have the usual conversation with Preston before heading out the front door to deal with the raiders. The reinforcements are better equipped, but all things considered, they don't really slow me down. If there was a real fight to be had here, it was of course the Deathclaw. I was perhaps a little overzealous here as I sprinted straight forward to deal with it first. This was possibly the biggest mistake I could have made, as something I haven't mentioned yet is that when spinning the shredder, you're constantly using AP, and if your AP runs out, you can't use the spinner. Therefore, me sprinting beforehand meant I couldn't finish the Deathclaw in one go, and as such, he got me while I was waiting for my action points to refill. Next attempt, I of course just decided not to sprint, but to be extra safe, I also used some Psycho Jet that I crafted with the drugs around Sanctuary, just to really seal the deal. Naturally, it did not survive the encounter, and then I just went around and mopped up the last of the raiders. I then grabbed my reward from Preston, and to save myself the mental anguish of settlement quests, I never interacted with him again for the rest of the game. Next stop was Diamond City, I suppose, as I didn't need to grind for levels, and thanks to the raider reinforcements, I was able to procure myself a full set of metal armor. The journey there was filled with bloodshed and carnage, some of which that I will go over now. Wolfgang made the mistake of standing in my line of sight, so naturally him and Simone were not long for this world. I also paid the raiders of the Corvega assembly plant a visit, for once not because I was told to, but because I wanted to. The violence continued as I minced them all into little tiny bite-sized pieces. I would have loved to have picked up the Bloody Mess card to see the true mess this weapon can make. Sadly though, I've learned from previous videos that YouTube really doesn't like it when I make human bolognese out of people. Disappointing as that may be, I hope I can make it up to all of you by turning this raider into a makeshift meat rocket. Once my business at the plant was finished, I continued on my way and came upon the distress signal for the Brotherhood of Steel. I didn't feel like signing with the Brotherhood again. That said, I did like the idea of testing out the shredder at Fort Strong, so for the time being, I suppose, I will play along with their requests. The defense and the aid of the police station was a sight to behold as hordes of feral ghouls all willingly dove head first into my portable wood chipper. Dance was grateful for the assistance, and now the two of us skipped on the Arcade. The synths inside are dismantled just as easily as anything else I've thought up to this point. They do, however, get some brownie points, as they were able to stun me more often than most with that weird spinning arm attack. It was also around this point where I decided that if I was going to continue obliterating everything that stood in my way, then I should at the very least go for the most difficult ending. In my opinion, that ending would be the Institute, because the final assault on the airport can get pretty crazy with how much the Brotherhood throw at you. Plus, out of all these Fallout 4 runs, I have only sided with them once. You could also make the argument that the Railroad is the hardest faction, and that I've only ever helped them out once before as well. And while that's all well and good, we all know I'm saving another Railroad run for a very specific and highly requested video. Anyway, back to the here and now, and I don't mean the crappy perk. Me and Dance finish up playing Trash Compactor, I hand over the deep-range transmitter, and after agreeing to help his cause, I begin to wander aimlessly south once more. Okay, so considering I was dead set on helping the Institute by this point, there was no real reason to keep the Railroad alive. Like, at all. So I moved on over to the Old North Church, and now I think it's time for the sound. It's a letter writ. With the blood, sweat, and tears of the Railroad stuck in between the spiky parts of my weapon, I grabbed all the useful supplies I could, and was now off to Park Street Station. While I was there, I made sure to stop off to deal with Swan, simply because I believe it's a good measure of how strong your build is this early in the game. Unlike the Deathclaw, I decided to do this without the performance enhancers, and it certainly ended up in a closer fight. For one, time wasn't slowed to a crawl, so he could actually hit me back, and therefore knocked me out of my animation and caused me to have to charge up the shredder. Unfortunately for him, I was able to survive just long enough to squeeze out the victory after I turned his ankles into mush. Down into the station, and for once the Triggerman put up a little bit of a fight, as I actually need to use some healing supplies to keep going. It's more so the sheer number of them in the more open area outside the vault that caused trouble. Being shot at from multiple angles is the bane of any melee build's existence, though, I suppose. Inside the vault, things began to look up again for me, as I have nowhere to run in the enclosed hallways. Reaching and saving Nick is easy enough, and to really get on his good side, I even tried helping him by digging a hole through one of the doors. Sadly, it doesn't work, but on the bright side, it is time to face Skinny Malone. In a shocking turn of events, Skinny, Darla, and their guards end up wiping the floor with me in less than 10 seconds. Twice. Not gonna lie, this really threw me for a loop, as it took way longer than it should have for me to figure out what the problem was here. The issue was that I kept going for Skinny first, as naturally he should be the one you focus. However, the real play was to go after Darla first, because if she was still in the fight, she could repeatedly stun me with her bat, which, combined with being stuck in the crossfire, led to a very early grave. Sure enough, my first attempt at this new strategy, and the fight is once again over in less than 10 seconds, but not for me. Once we're back out in the not-so-fresh air, I sent Inspector Gadget back to Diamond City ahead of me, because I had some unfinished business in the area. As I have said before, there ain't no kill like overkill, so if the Shredder is going to continue to be as powerful as it has been, then I figured it would be fun to try and squeeze as much damage out of it as I possibly can. What this means is that I quickly make myself a ghoul smoothie out of the locals inside Hoover's Comics, while I make my way to the top and procure the Grognak outfit for its added strength and melee damage benefits. Truth be told, I have no idea if these bots affect the Shredder, but either way, we cannot deny the fashion that is on show right now. With my new rubbery gloves, I slide one of them into McDonald's pockets at the front gate and get to work playing detective with Nick. I of course raid Kellogg's house of all his valuables, and then 1 cigar later, it's off to find Kellogg. Thanks to helping out with ArcJet earlier, I can just fast travel straight there and head south to quickly make it to Fort Hagen. However, before that, I stop off at the Federal Ration stockpile, not only to kill some raiders, but I also figured that seeing how I'm a higher level than usual, that there should be a fairly decent set of power armor nearby. I was correct in my assumptions, it seems, as I found an almost complete set of T-51 power armor. While I came to get the armor for defensive reasons, I ended up discovering something a little more fascinating after getting inside. As it turns out, when you use the Shredder while in power armor, it doesn't use any action points, meaning I never have to stop spinning from here on out. Now that I was channeling the full power of the Cleanersham Labyrinth, I was able to just slaughter my way through all the synths of Fort Hagen, and they weren't even able to stun me this time. I will say you have to admire Kellogg's determination for a little diplomacy here, as even with the spinning death machine pointed straight at him, he continues to talk. Not that it did him much good, unfortunately, as this was by far the fastest Kellogg fight that I've had in a long time. After grabbing bits of his brain, I make it outside and briefly head back to Sanctuary to upgrade my armor. If I'm heading for an Institute ending, then it makes sense to get as much energy resistance as possible, so not only did I get the winterized paint jobs, but from this point on I began putting my perk points into perception so that I could get the refractor perk. Next up was the Memory Dance segment, which was just as uneventful as ever. Apologies if it sounds like I'm speeding through this, by the way, but given the strength of the weapon and armor combo, I never even needed to go shopping for things like armor and ammo. Plus, thanks to my increased level right off the bat, most enemies drop stim packs, so I didn't even need to worry about healing supplies. Really, from here, I just spent caps on Fusion Force. Heading south to Fallout 3 Filterland, and I made another startling discovery, although this one is not as beneficial. Turns out the natural counter to this build is Mirelurks. Like just any kind of basic Mirelurk, as the Shredder just bounces straight off their shells like any other melee weapon. I tried to fight a few, but after a bit it became pretty apparent that I was getting literally nowhere, so I just decided to pivot towards the glowing sea. All I can say about that is I'm now even more thankful that I didn't choose to side with the Minuteman, as I would have been doomed when fighting the Mirelurk Queen. The creatures in the glowing sea are thankfully a lot squishier than their crustacean friends, so I get to rip up stingwings and rat scorpions to my heart's content. At one stage, I even became a ghoul meat grinder again as a large horde of them jumped right into me. You know, you would think they would have learnt their lesson by now, but that doesn't seem to be the case. On the topic of simple slaughters, I used my power armor's high radiation resistance to bully the children of Adam into an early grave as their gamma guns refused to harm me. So in other words, I made them endure the struggle of a gamma gun only run. I have a tussle with the Deathclaw outside of Virgil's cave. Really, it only lasted as long as it did because he decided to pick me up and throw me. If he hadn't, this would have been even faster than the first one. Well, we know where this is going. Big Green needs me to find the Courser, so I can decode the chip and get into the Institute. Luckily, I marked green tech on the map prior to this, so one fast travel later, and I can get started. You know, when you're speeding through the game with these challenge runs, this part with the Courser and the Gunners can usually be quite difficult, so I'm kind of worried about how this is gonna... Anyway, I take the chip back to get it decoded, and now it's time to build the teleporter. Except not just yet, I need to deal with the situation of Fort Strong with the Brotherhood real quick. Even with all the power I have at my fingertips, I still made sure to tackle the fight with the Behemoth and the minions carefully, because if Darla and Skinny Malone can manage to kill me, then anything's possible. I start by being smart as I thin out the ranks to make things a bit more manageable when it's time to fight the Behemoth. Despite my level, the mutants outside are all just your run-of-the-mill basic super mutants, with no drips or masters. I'm not sure why that is, but it definitely makes dealing with them go by a lot faster. The Behemoth, as you can imagine, hits the hardest out of the bunch. And, from what I could tell, he was actually a lot stronger than even Swan. A few hits from him was all it took to destroy most of my armor and cause me to back off. On the bright side, while he may hit like a freight train, he doesn't appear to have as much HP as Swan, So with some careful maneuvering and a few stim packs, I can get behind him and finish the job. The mutants inside were nothing to write home about, so now I was on to building the teleporter. I then lied to Maxim's face about recruiting Dr. Lee, and unbeknownst to the Brotherhood, they just sealed their fate by helping me get inside the Institute. I quickly matched my way through Father's dialogue and get to meeting the rest of the leaders before being assigned my first task, which is to recapture the Raider synth and Libertalia. This quest is usually one of the shortest in the main story, as I usually just swim across the water, climb up a big structure, and then immediately skip right to the Raider fight. With my power armor, though, I would just sink like a rock, and seeing how I didn't want to recreate the horrible underwater segment from the original KOTOR, I often just take the intended path along the makeshift ramps and bridges while fighting all of his lackeys. Even though I was moving pretty slow, the Raider with the Batman never managed to hit me, so things went pretty smooth all the way to the top. I then used the recall code on the synth, and while they were distracted, diced up his two buddies. One quest down, a few more to go, and it was now time for the Battle of Bunker Hill. While it is a simple mission, and realistically nothing too taxing, it served as a good way for me to see how I would fare against Brotherhood Knights going forward, especially for missions like Mass Fusion and the attack on the Crewman. It's also pretty handy to test here, as no matter what I do, the Brotherhood will not attack me, as they still think I'm on their side, despite the fact I am clearly working with a Courser. Turns out I didn't need to be worried about the Shredder's capabilities. In fact, it not only kills Knights easy enough, but it also seems to absolutely shred their power armor and destroys them within seconds. Feeling good, I recall the synths and then spend a little longer messing around with the Brotherhood before getting back to Father and discussing the situation. The game then glitched out briefly as Father would not begin the meeting, no matter what I did, so I had to load back. Thankfully, this fixed the situation, and I didn't need to load back and side with another faction, because I probably would have lost my mind. It was time now for Mass Fusion, and therefore, my first real fight against the Brotherhood. It goes pretty damn well, if I'm being honest. There aren't a lot of knights at the top of the building, so mostly just normal Brotherhood soldiers with no power armor and weak laser weapons, or in other words, very easy cannon fodder. To switch things up a little here, rather than take the slow elevator ride down to the bottom where I'd be completely defenseless, I put my power armor to good use and walked off the side of the building, landed at the front door, and from there could just casually walk down to the basement and claim our prize. The sentry Bob was able to stun me, but for whatever reason, he only meleeed me once, so I could take him out no problem. For the first time in the run, I actually had to rely on someone else here, as the doors won't open until the turrets on the ceiling are destroyed, so I have to wait around for Ali to take them out. When she finally does, I go to meet the two Assaultrons head-on, and prove who has a superior spinning blitz. Shocker, it was me. With the quest complete, it was time for some of the more basic Institute quests, such as recruiting Wallace to help with the reactor, and messing around with the radio in Diamond City. Not a lot to go over with these two, so to make my own fun, I went on a brief killing spree in Diamond City, as I'm known to do. Father, fearing for his own safety and trying to mess with me, trapped himself inside the cell that his robot clone usually sits in, but fortunately I could still talk to him, and proceed to the final part of the questline. As I have already dealt with the railroad, all that's left to do is meet with my council members and discuss the best course of action for dealing with the Brotherhood, which is of course all-out combat. I wish there was more to say about this final battle. Like, I wish I could tell you that I struggled against a sheer number of Knights and Brotherhood soldiers, but that would just be a really big lie. As mentioned before, the Shredder not only rips through the Brotherhood, but also destroys their armor in the process, so it drains their health at an alarming rate. I also didn't need to worry about my own armor, because when it did get damaged, I would just replace it with the appropriate pieces from the many, many bodies littering the airport. Not to mention, after destroying the generators, things just got even easier, as I now had a small army of synths to distract the Brotherhood as well. Things went so well here that I managed to take out every single member of the Brotherhood way before the virus was ever uploaded. Maxim was the last to go out, and once he went down, I just stood around until the game teleported me out. I then watched the fireworks, returned to Father, watched him die, finishing the game, and proving yes, you can indeed beat Fallout 4 with only the Shredder. Okay, yeah, that was easy. It was very easy, in fact. It was fun to just decimate my way through the game, don't get me wrong. Although nevertheless, I hope it was still enjoyable for all of you, and here's hoping next week's video may be a bit more of a challenge. Regardless, that's going to end this challenge.
What the site wants. Med-X is a painkiller. Strips away a lot of feeling and lets you float out into the mystery of life.
Med-X, huh? Okay.
You know where I'll be.
Now, as it means I'll have progressed the Minutemen's quest as far as physically possible, outside of siding with them for the main quest. Turrets and mines? Easy enough to deal with. One pit.
Well, this will be an interesting challenge.
From Washington to Vegas, we have cleared the way for people to live their lives freely in this post-apocalyptic hellscape, and while the work behind us was of great importance, it's the challenge that lies ahead that will be our biggest task.
Got that med-X?
Can you beat
Fuel
Fallout
for the
4
site?
as Abraham Lincoln? By now you know the
Yeah,
rules. Any
here
and
you
all
go.
forms of slavery present in the game must be abolished
Just
no matter
makes
what, as well as a few other
everything
tasks that will need to be
feel
completed
good,
throughout,
don't
as
it?
they seem like something Lincoln
I'm
would do.
starting to
I will need to
see
do all of this while looking as
clearly.
close to the man as I possibly
You're
can.
walking
Fortunately,
into a
Fallout 4's
scene,
tuxedo is a
but
fairly
it's
close match for
not
Lincoln's attire,
what you're
right down to the
afraid
bow
of
tie,
drowning
no
in.
problems there.
It's
As for the iconic top hat and
something
weapons though, well, there is
invisible,
sort of a top hat present in
but
Fallout 4's Nuka World DLC, but it's nigh
radiant.
impossible for me
It
specifically to get.
burns
That's something
everything
I will go
in
into
it.
greater detail about once
But
I reach Nuka World.
no,
Obviously, the hat is part of the
I
appeal
can
to this
feel
run,
them.
so I have installed
There's
the Capital Wasteland
people
Outfit Pack Part 2
calling
mod
out
created by
to
the Fried Turkey
something,
and HCGX Grill.
chanting.
The mod does
They
exactly
can
what
be
it says and
showing
adds
the
in outfits and
way,
unique pieces of
but
clothing from
they're
Fallout 3.
so
For those of you who
hard
want to see the rest of the
read.
outfits, there's a link
Be
in the description.
careful
Finally,
around
for
them,
weapons, I'll be allowed
kid.
to use my
I
fists, the
can't.
whole accomplished wrestler thing Lincoln had going on, as well as any axes I may find for
Almost
log
thought
cabin
I
construction
couldn't
and
breathe
vampire destruction.
there.
My main weapon of choice is the lever action rifle from Far Harbor,
It's
as per
beating right
recommendation from
now
all you
to
Lincoln fans
know.
in the comments of the New Vegas video.
Gonna need to
I have
rest.
kept you all waiting far long enough, so with all that out of the way, let's finally begin. First things first, with the more competent character creators in the likes of Fallout 3 and New Vegas, I can adjust my facial features to get a closer resemblance to the Emancipator in question. Is the face perfect? No, not by a long shot, but I'm proud that he at least looks the right age this time, compared to before. I mosey on around the house for a bit, interacting with everything, as I haven't played around this part of the opening in over a year now,
Carl.
as I normally
Hey
use
there.
my save at the vault
Trading?
exit. But this is a special
Let's see what you
playthrough that
have.
requires me to
Always
start right at
happy.
the beginning, or maybe I was afraid of the mod messing with the other save, who can say. When I am approached by Colonel Campbell Salesman Extraordinaire, I get to assign my special stats. Nothing too out of the ordinary here. Again, due to his background as a successful wrestler, I made sure to give him an above average strength to help him come out on top during hand-to-hand combat encounters going forward. Luck is one, thanks to him being assassinated, as well as charisma, which may seem a little odd, but you see, Lincoln only ever had around 1 year of total schooling from travelling teachers growing up, and the rest of what he learned was self-taught. So, in other words, another goal is to have 10 in charisma by the end by manually putting points into this skill upon leveling up. Finally, intelligence is at 8, because Lincoln was quite clever. In fact, I think it's time for Abraham Lincoln fact number 7. Did you know that Lincoln was the only president to have obtained a patent? After Lincoln was aboard a steamboat that ran aground and was forced to unload its cargo, he designed a method for keeping vessels afloat when traveling along shallow water by the use of empty metal air chambers that would be attached to the boat's sides. For this design, Lincoln obtained patent number 6469 in 1849. Back to the matter at hand, someone finally addresses me by name, and before you know it, I'm putting Lincoln's lanky legs to good use by sprinting to the vault as fast as feasibly possible. It's popsicle time, my wife's dead, I'm off one wedding ring, and I'm challenging any nearby rad roaches to a wrestling match. Spoiler alert, Lincoln wins. With the Pip-Boy in hand, I exit the vault, and after scavenging for some supplies, make my way back down to Sanctuary, and begin scrapping everything I can find, as no doubt they will come in handy later. I searched around trying to find a tuxedo, but sadly to no avail. Anything is more accurate than my bright blue vault suit, so for the time being, I opt to wear this rather snazzy tan suit instead. For those wondering, the outfits from the mod are placed in specific locations throughout the world, as half of the fun is meant to be finding them while you explore. So that means my top hat is out there somewhere, and to add to my ever-growing list of objectives, I will need to track it down before the end of the game. By the time I got to Concord and was ready to fight some raiders, I was shocked to learn that Preston, for once in his life, actually managed to land most of his shots, and that there were only 2 raiders left. Naturally, I managed to finish him off before he could, thanks to a couple of well-placed punches, followed by a rather swift knee of justice to the face. This caused me to level up, and for the time being, my levels are going into Iron Fist and Toughness to do and take more damage respectively. My fists are strong enough for the time being, but as the suit offers no protection whatsoever, I need as much damage resistance as I possibly can get. In other words, joining the railroad and getting access to their ballistic weave mods should be one of, if not my highest priority. Wolfgang and Simone were unaware of just how outmatched they truly were, as once again another knee of justice is let loose, followed by a swift neck break to end the tensions at the diner. Trudy has some decent junk that will come in handy, but sadly, still no tux. I figured Diamond City would be my best bet, as I could probably just buy one, so that's where I began to head to next. I figured I might as well get the tuxedo before starting the railroad's main quest after all. While I will be siding with the railroad this time around, as it's the best possible way to free the most synth slaves, I am also planning to do a full Minuteman run outside of their missions related to the main quest, should you become enemies with the Institute. That's a fancy way of saying I am going to recruit every single settlement in the base game and DLCs. So far, I already have Sanctuary and Red Rocket, but I make a small detour to go and clear out the Starlight Drive-In. Mole rats are squishy, and therefore get their skulls caved in rather easily, making for a quick purge. I'm I'm going to get this out of the way now. I am not going to be going over every single settlement quest, as there's around 30 of them, and let's be real, most of them are the exact same thing. I'll just be focusing on some of the more unique ones, like Covenant or Ridge Farm. With some mole rats in my pockets, I continued on my path and wound up at Mystic Pines, the old residential one. Initially, I was searching around for some odds and ends to upgrade my future equipment, when to my surprise, and luck, I found myself a tuxedo. I mean, that's great, I can now just bypass Diamond City for the time being, and head straight to the Old North Church. Right? Wrong! Yeah, for whatever reason, I got completely sidetracked at this point and started heading northeast for the Nakana's house so I could get to Far Harbor. Not to do the DLC, mind you, just to get the lever action rifle. Some more raiders and wildlife get absolutely battered along the way, more the fools them to challenge a man ballsy enough to run down an enemy with a gun and nothing but a suit in his bare hands. I finally met my match, however, when I attempted to liberate Outpost Ammonia from Boomer. He may not be part of the Boomers from New Vegas, but he will certainly give them a run for their money with his Fat Man power armor combo that basically allows him to fire at close range without really hurting himself. I tried a few times to even get close enough to hit him, but every time it ended in fireworks. For the time being, I just marked the location on the map and would return later when I was better prepared. Other than a few rat scorpions promising me a very bad time, I didn't encounter any other trouble on the way to Ethan Nakanos. After snooping around for a bit, I find a holotape indicating their daughter took their boat to Far Harbor to cozy up with some sense, as she seems to believe she is one, so naturally I'm given the second boat and told to give chase. Arriving in the town, I level up, not that it does me much good, as the gulpers attacking the town are far above my current level, and as such, any attempt to wrestle them ends with me giving the sidewalk a gentle smooch. Turns out, taking part in the defense of the town is entirely optional, as I can just wait out the whole situation in the center of town until I get the pop-up informing me I have in fact saved the day. This opens up the town, allowing me to trade, so I head to Alan Lee and buy a lever action rifle along with 300 bullets for it. You're probably wondering how I can afford all of this right now. Well, truth is, I've been looting every single weapon, armor, and ammo I could find on the way here, along with some junk that can be easily replaced later. I am planning to save the DLC for later when I can get the most out of them, and my charisma is high enough to pass some of the speech checks, so for now it's back to the Commonwealth, and more importantly Sanctuary, where I begin to upgrade the rifle. Of course, I cannot fully kit it out until I've maxed out the gun that first, so for the time being I can slightly increase its damage, as well as the length of the barrel. I dubbed the gun the Slave Saber 4000, and put it to work immediately as I return to Concord, and begin to one-shot all of the level 1 raiders. The Slave Saber currently inflicts 45 damage per shot, so compared to the weapons you would normally have by this stage of the game, it is very good. That said, while the raiders are child's play, the death class still means business, as I become slightly too overconfident in my damage output, to the point where I completely forgot I am quite the glass cannon, and as such the death claw is able to grab me with nearly full health, and instantly kill me. Attempt number 2, and I cripple its legs first, rendering the creature unable to fight back, and from there I can menacingly approach while firing shot after shot until the little in-game ding informs me to stop. I then receive my reward from Preston and inform him about Sanctuary so that he and the others may live in peace. I visit them right away and make the place livable before offering to help Preston with the Minutemen by becoming General Lincoln. His first settlement quest, oddly enough, is to help out Overland Station. I think this is the only time where it hasn't been 10 times bluff for me, but sure, whatever. I do go and talk with the settlers at 10 times, mind you, as I figured I may as well do their quest now as well. While heading south to Overland Station, I got into a few more scuffles before finding myself in Grey Garden, which is of course yet another potential settlement. Grey Garden is one of the few settlements as a unique quest tied to them, which is to head to the nearby water plant and fix it up so they can have access to somewhat clean water again. Problem is, I have to clear out both Super Mutants and Mirelurks before I can restart the plant. The Mirelurks were honestly pretty easy. A simple headshot would take out most of them, and if that failed, a couple of shots to the torso was more than enough to do the trick. The mutants outside, though, proved to be a bigger issue than I initially anticipated. Perhaps I shouldn't have gotten distracted once more and actually met up with the railroad, but I digress. To be fair, it's not the worst thing in the world, as the Slave Saber is powerful enough that the mutants also can't take a lot of punishment, so really it just works both ways this encounter. I'll also admit that one of the deaths was partially my own doing for not being aware of my surroundings and walking straight into a tripwire trap that resulted in me being permanently disarmed. A few more tries and I'm able to outsnipe the mutants from a reasonably safe distance and condemn my way inside to make them crab cakes. As mentioned before, the Mirelurks are simple enough to deal with. Before long, the water treatment plant is back in working order, I have a new settlement under my belt, and I can continue on the way to Overland Station to increase the reach of mine and Preston's Republic. As it is the first quest that Preston gives you to the Minutemen, the settlers tasked me with taking you Jared from the Funtime assembly plant. Well, bing bang boom, and the raiders are dead. Not a lot to add here. Jared's raiders are fairly easy most of the time, let alone when you're packing this amount of superior firepower. With Overland by our side, I get on to helping the people of Sampine Bluff, as mentioned before. This time, they want me to rescue one of their people who's been taken hostage, so given the nature of these Lincoln runs, I have more than a few reasons to go bring this person back. For all we know about raiders, it is highly likely that they may end up using the poor fellow as a slave, and we certainly can't have that. Although, truth be told, the line between prisoner and slave has always been pretty blurry in these challenges, to the point where I really just save anyone whom we all agree deserves to be rescued. The raiders are near the CIT ruins in Green Tech, which is A-okay in my book, as it means I can mark them on the map for later to help cut down on backtracking, considering this is a much longer challenge than normal, and any opportunity to shorten the traveling distance is fine by me. It doesn't take long to clear out the raiders, so I can report my success to the settlers, and as a sign of good faith, I also construct some water and turrets out of thin air to help fend off against future attacks. At this point, the idea of meeting the railroad and venturing around the Diamond City area was completely absent of my mind, as I decided to instead help out Preston to the point where he would move to assault the castle, meaning more settlement quests for the time being. Fortunately, there are another two very close by, them being Abernathy Farm and Sunshine Tidings. Well, Abernathy Farm is closer, so I decided to do it first. Plus, when I made my way to Far Harbor earlier, I marked the satellite station on the map and took out the raiders guarding the entrance to make my life easier when I came back. Once more, they're all easy one-shots that prove no hassle at all. The only real annoying thing about the lever-action rifle is that you always have to manually reload 5 bullets into the gun. Like, even if you have only fired a single shot, you'll experience to sit through the entire animation as you load all 5 bullets before you can fire again. I know I could speed up the reload speed with a perk, but I don't have anywhere near enough points in agility to get said perk, and considering I'm already dumping 8 levels into charisma to max it out, as I used that in special mode to bump it up to 2, I don't really feel like wasting all of those levels when I could be spending them on frankly more important perks, such as Rifleman and Lone Wanderer, once I have the requirements. As you saw, I easily dispatched Stack Axe Script, and can now recruit the Abernathy to the cause. Next was Sunshine Tidings, and clearing it of ghouls wasn't all that interesting, but rather the encounter I had on the way there with Fred, Jules, and Angie. Jules is a runaway synth, and he's been travelling with Fred and Angie for a few days, and he has only now informed them of his true nature. They are somewhat annoyed by this, believing him to be an innocent spy, and as such are looking to dismantle him. Well, at this point, Old Abe steps in to try and ease the tension, but sadly, to no avail, as Fred is determined to put a bullet right between Fred's optic. A runaway synth is essentially an escaped slave, so with that in mind, we take the side of Jules and fully dispatch of Fred and Angie. Morally grey decisions are always not one to figure out, so let's follow that up with something we know is just, murdering raiders in their home when they least expect it. I take the hidden back entrance to the federal ration stockpile that's in the old rundown church, so that I can take out their leader first before carving a bloody path through all the raiders. I get a lot of good healing supplies in here, which is to be expected, along with some high-priced weapons and armor that will come in handy shortly as my ammo is running low, meaning I'll need to head back to Far Harbor soon to resupply, as the ammo I need is only sold there. After I've defeated the raiders out the front, I decide to once again mark some useful locations on the map as I'm in the area. I am, of course, referring to Fort Hagen, as it's a few minutes south of my current location. Turns out venturing down here was the best possible choice I could have made, as not only will this help me in the long run, but since there's a Red Rocket gas station just outside the fort, I figured I could loot the place of all the materials. Well, not only did I find some worthwhile junk, but in the corner of the room, I spotted a corpse that's normally not there. Turns out it's the dead body of Hannibal Hamlin from Fallout 3. That would be the escaped slave who was also obsessed with President Lincoln. As such, it makes sense that he had Lincoln's hat on this person. It gives the same +1 intelligence bonus that it did back in the Captain Wolfman. I was actually very shocked that the hat was here of all places. I honestly thought that it would have been in Nuka World, so, needless to say, I was pretty ecstatic to have already completed the look. And what a look it is. I also may have painted my Pit-Boy with the colours of the American flag, but that's not important. With the outfit complete, I went back to get more ammo from Alan, along with another handful of rounds from Brooks, before I continued on this warpath of mine, freeing settlements. In fact, with the gun in hand and more ammo to boot, I returned to Outpost Ammonia and showed Boomer who's boss. Let's be clear, he still would have killed me, but by some dumb stroke of luck, he missed his shot this time, and by the looks of things, he only had a single mini-nuke, so after it was wasted, picking him off with the rifle was rather easy. With Outpost Ammonia, we now have enough settlements to progress to recapturing the castle, meaning it's about time I headed down the Diamond City area of the Commonwealth and started to do some of my other bonus objectives for the run. Oberlin Station is the closest location I currently have, so I start from there and head in the Legion's favourite direction, where I come into contact with more super mutants who are being held back by the Diamond City guards. Fortunately, they are not as strong as the mutants I faced back at the water treatment plant, so they are no more than a brief distraction. I also took out the raiders and established a base behind Mazzali while I was here. Wasn't sure how to seamlessly fit that in, so there you go. I finally knew my way into Diamond City, and honestly, skimming through the footage, I didn't really do anything upon this visit, other than Piper's interview and agreeing to find Nick. Something which I normally just skip. I did get this one clip of me running at the slowest speed imaginable though, so that's a thing. On my way east to the Old North Church, I picked up the Trinity Tower broadcast, and I figured, yeah, I've got time. Plus, let's be honest, I was going to rescue them anyway for the video. I kind of figured at this point that I would recruit all the companions that I could while going down the Railroad's quest line. Will I use any of them? No, probably not, but after all, A house divided against itself cannot stand. The base super mutants take around 3 shots to kill, and any ranks above take about an extra shot on top of that. So it's a bit more ammo than I would have liked, but so long as I have the caps, Alan Lee will do a full restock every 2 days, so I'll never need to worry about running out of ammo. When I took down the first mutant and his hound to train his car, I reached level 13 and could take the second rank of the gun nut perk. Unfortunately, the next damage upgrade requires me to have the third rank of the perk, so no noticeable upgrades in terms of raw damage output. What this rank does allow me to do though is add a full stock to the gun. In the grand scheme of things, it won't affect a lot. I just got it because I thought it made the gun look better. As I said, the mutants in the tower aren't that much to write home about. That is all except for their leader's fist anyway. I understand that he has a minigun, and it is in fact very deadly against my soft and supple skin, but he was just draining my health in seconds. I could still inflict a good bit of damage on him, don't get me wrong, and I had enough healing supplies gathered up by now that I could outlast the Mirage's death, but even still, the sheer output of damage on his part took me by surprise. If the reload speed of the Slave Saber wasn't so abysmal, despite me it fell along awful, but I suppose it cannot be helped. In the end, I came out on top, and after the second slowest elevator ride of my life, making it back to the base of the tower, and I can save mode right strong. As for what to do with Strong, well, for now I just send in a Red Rocket truck stop for Sanctuary, and then whenever I take back the castle, I will send him and the rest of the companions there. I may have mentioned a few paragraphs ago that upgrading my gun to have a full stock was simply for show, but in a weird twist, from this point on, it started to get a decent amount of use in the gun bashing department, as I began to use it to cave in human enemies' faces when the Emancipator didn't deem them worthy enough. I then rescued Kate Tommy from the raiders of the combat zone, and much like Strong, Kate is sent back to Red Rocket to await her orders to be reassigned to the castle. Alright, now it is finally time to cozy up to the railroad. Right after I finish taking care of Swamp for tradition's sake. Much like most encounters thus far in the run, while Swamp can dish out the damage to me, I'm also able to inflict just as much back at him. Plus, my inherent speed advantage and the ability to quickly run in and around smaller areas that he cannot easily reach allows me to get multiple shots in at a distance, which helps to significantly lower his health while he is helplessly trying to do anything other than tossing occasional rocks at my hat. With him down, I reach level 14, mark good neighbor for later, and then finally, make my way inside the Old North Church and join up with the railroad. The ghouls in the building are quick kills, except for one who I seem to have doomed to an eternity of being trapped in this position. He appears to be stuck between a state of living and dead, as while I get the experience for the kill, I am unable to loot him like all other dead NPCs. No use wondering about that, I break into the railroad's headquarters as I fail the #1 security test, which is to not make your password the same as your username. I am then quizzed on the specifics of what I think about synths and their treatment by the Institute, and I finally got to say the most Lincoln thing in every single one of these runs.
That sounds like slavery.
After clearly being on board with the idea of liberating the synths, I offer to help Deacon with problems on the switchboard. Before that, though, I figured that since I'm in the area, I may as well head further east and meet back up with Preston and my soldiers to help retake the castle as our new primary base of operations. The Mirelurks are about the same as they were before, it's still not a huge difference, mind you. A shot to the head, good body shot, over the tongue, or to get anywhere within pinching distance of my cheeks. I honestly thought this was going to be a much tougher fight, but in reality, just like Swamp before her, so long as I make sure to keep my distance and abuse my height advantage, I could run away and around the interior of the castle to pop back out somewhere else, get in some free shots before retreating again, all before she would have a chance to counter my attacks. That comes in very handy in scenarios such as this one, as I can abuse its slow down time effect to rapidly reload my weapon without being left defenseless at normal speed. Plus, even if my luck is at 1, having access to your crit whenever you need it is always nice. I delivered the final shot to the Queen's stomach, ending her reign over the nearby crowd and castle once and for all. I of course then set up the radio beacon with Preston and get hit with just a bunch of new settlement quests. Like I said, I won't be going over all of them, as places such as Tappington Boathouse or Nordhagen Beach are just your run-of-the-mill clear the place out of enemies to use the workbench, or take out the raiders who are somehow harassing them from the other side of Boston. As for right now, I am helping Deacon with the switchboard problem, and thanks to the Assaultron head run 2 weeks ago, I know that deciding to go in the front door is still an option that both does and doesn't exist. You're all probably starting to notice that the Assaultron head run had me go through the majority of the railroad's quest line, so that I'd be familiar with things going forward in the Lincoln run. The synths and turrets underground, much like myself, have decided to spec into a glass cannon build, as once more they get the best of me with their energy weapons. Thing is, while the suit right now is garbage in terms of damage reduction, I, at the very least, have a few ranks in the toughness perk to circumvent normal gunfire. When it comes to energy resistance, however, I am sitting at a flat 0. That means I will need the Refractor perk or Ballistic Weave Tux if I want even the smallest hope of surviving an encounter with the Institute near the end of the game, or better yet, the Brotherhood of Steel. I'm getting way ahead of myself. I won't be anywhere near there for quite a few more hours from where I currently am. I just need to practice some caution as I slowly make my way through and pick off the synths before they can even land a few hits on me. With this strategy, I'm able to slowly but surely deal with the last room full of synths before grabbing the prototype for Carrington and returning to the railroad as a new agent. I should mention that I informed Desdemona that Deacon's retelling of the events at the switchboard is in fact a lie, and instead tell her what really happened. I am Honest Abe, after all. What good is a secret agent who can't lie, I hear you wonder? Well, still quite effective, given that Fallout 4's dialogue system will bring you to the same outcome no matter what you say, so always telling the truth doesn't really change anything here. Which is pretty much the reason why I never brought it up during the rules section, if I'm honest. When I am forced to pick my nickname, I just go with Bullseye, as Arseface isn't an option this time around. Next up for the railroad is Boston After Dark, which is to help an escaped synth do just that. Escape. To start the quest, I make my way over to Bunker Hill, where I'm approached by Edward Deegan. He has nothing to do with my current predicament, but rather he starts up the Jack Cabot family questline. I'll probably just do that as well at some point, but that can wait for the time being as I arrange a place and time to rescue the synth with Old Man Stockton. Conveniently, on the way to the meet-up point with the synth and high-rise, I find Ada being attacked by the swarm bots. Well, I said I was going to do every single settlement, and the Mechanist lair at the end of the DLC is technically one, so I guess that means we are helping Ada. I will say it is quite therapeutic to be able to shoot these robots rather than just dancing around them until Ada deals damage like before. With Ada rescued, I can start the DLC at any time, but for now I send her back to the castle to rejoin the others, while I press on with the synth business at hand. Waiting until nightfall for Stockton and the synth to arrive, we then have to wait a bit longer until High-Rise, the second agent, appears, not that he does much good. In fact, if this wasn't a Bethesda game where most of the quest-related characters are invincible, he would have kicked the bucket multiple times, as not only did he lead us into raiders, but for whatever reason, while I was dealing with said raiders, he decided to go off on a detour with the synth to fight some nearby mutants. I am essentially babysitting two idiots here, one who is incredibly frightened and timid, and another with an incredibly itchy trigger finger by the looks of it. I understand he is called High-Rise, but that doesn't mean he has to rise up to the highest point of the building before crossing this plank and moving on. Thanks to the intervention of President Lincoln and his powerful arsenal of weaponry, this synth is able to be rescued, and I can return and hand in the quest back at headquarters. Continuing to do more busy work for the railroad, my next quest with Butcher Bill is one of the final requirements I need to gain access to the Ballistic Weave mod I have been accidentally sidetracking myself from for all this time. Well, like clockwork, it happens again as I stumble into the USS Constitution and decide to help Captain Ironsides and his crew out of their predicament. Honestly, I should probably be a little concerned with how easily I get sidetracked, but that's a future nervous problem, as I wipe out the scavengers threatening to steal the robot ship, because as far as I'm concerned, that's American property, and they just admitted to Abraham that they want it for salvage. The rest of the quest is just a lot of back and forth, fixing up broken parts of the ship. Oddly enough, this is one of the very few base game quests of Fallout 4 that has skill checks that allow you to bypass certain criteria for the quest. Makes you wonder if this is one of the first quests at the time for the game before they drop the concept, before bringing it back and forth with Far Harbor. I do always get a kick of finding the broadside of the scavengers, easily a highlight of the quest. It's the simple things in life, you know? Also, this is totally fine for the run. There were, of course, cannons in Lincoln's time, just to clarify that for anyone. Speaking of weapons, upon completing the quest, I reached level 18 and can take the third rank of the Rifleman perk for a little bit of more oomph. With that side quest out of the way, I pressed on towards the Dead Drop location, and in the process recruited County Crossing to the personal army of Lincoln by clearing out some of the nearby ghouls that were giving him trouble. I also briefly got into a tussle with the mutants at the satellite array, not for the Brotherhood recording there, mind you, no, just for some good old-fashioned murder-based experience. After grabbing the Dead Drop, I sent it to the console, where after a brief bout of extermination can head inside to extract all the railroad agents. Well, to be honest, they probably fed most of them with the legendary Deathclaw sitting on the bottom floor, so that's grim. I don't actually need to take out the Deathclaw to complete the quest. So long as the raiders are out of the picture, then things are apparently all good. I'm not the kind of person to leave a job half-finished, mind you, so after the raiders are bled, beaten, and shot back to the depths of hell, I head down and begin to fight with the Deathclaw. The plan was to cripple it like the one in Concord, hence why I kept trying to shoot its legs. Granted, that didn't exactly work. But, to be fair, I was really overthinking the situation, as the rifle is substantially more powerful than it was back then. And as such, you should consider that time.
Calling the Silver Shroud. Calling the Silver Shroud.
Maybe they should keep in contact with the other cells more often. I get to work through some of this work for the railroad, i.e. reading quests for Tom. Tom just wants to put his field devices on
Radio.
and Tom has me clear out specific settlements for the railroad. No problem with the last one, as it kills two birds with one stone. After slogging my way past a fight between a group of super mutants and raiders, who were a lot tougher than they had any right to be at this point, I once more returned to base, and I am finally at the point where I'm given the first jackpot quest to track down a hidden cache in the ruined skyscraper. Not a whole lot worth going in depth about here. You walk into a building, shoot a few gunners, and then walk up to an illusionary wall to complete the quest. The contents inside the room would probably be useful if I could use any of them this run, other than Tux of course. But the real reward is that I can now finally have access to the ballistic weave modifications for my suit. I went around some shops to get myself a bit of ballistic fibre so I could make modifications. Also, while I was in Diamond City, I helped out Sheffield and even gave him a nice new outfit so he wouldn't have to run around in his old rags. As of now, I can only get the first rank of the ballistic weave, as I forgot to upgrade the armourer perk. I'm not complaining, mind you. Even at rank 1, I gain an additional 30 points of damage and energy resistance, which will certainly make a difference. Now that I had the upgrade, that was pretty much everything I wanted to do for the railroad for the time being, so I figured now would be a pretty good time to get some of my other major objectives, as well as some of the more prominent settlement quests, out of the way. First off, I turned to Huber's Comics for pure grog axe. I know it's not really the same type of axe Lincoln would have used for cutting down trees or creatures of the night, but sadly, it's the only axe available in all of Fallout 4, so we have to take what we can get.
The armor plating is good.
That makes it sound like the axe is terrible. God no, far from. While it's a little annoying that it cannot be upgraded, its base damage and bleed effect are still pretty strong. I can't see myself using it a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but who knows, there may be a time in the future where Abel has to get very familiar with an axe. After clearing out the 200-year-old squatters, I continue on my quest to unite the nation. First on my list is Covenant, due to it being nearby and involving a rescue mission, something we are always a fan of here. I answer the goat test as truthfully as I believe I can, or Lincoln would, and then get down to snooping around town. I am naturally drawn to Dan due to him and Abe being two very honest individuals, and we get to work collecting evidence on the location of something the settlers refer to as the compound. Fortunately, it's just one glowing swim across the nearby small body of water before me and Dan are slaughtering our way through these disillusioned kidnappers. For what it's worth, I do try to talk the guards down, but they just weren't having any of it. It's not a huge setback or anything, most of the compound guards can't even take a single bullet, and the few that do are invited to a nice good look at the butt of my rifle. During all of this fighting, I managed to level up and of course took the first rank of the armourer perk, allowing me to make the Mark II version of the ballistic weave and granting an extra 15 points to both of my resistances. When me and Dan reach the end of the bodies, we come into contact with Dr. Chambers, and once again I attempt to defuse the situation with words, but even so it becomes clear this will not stop the doctor's experiments permanently, so to save any future humans or synths from being captured, I opt to just put her down. I then release adolescent girl Stockton, and then unfortunately, Honest Abe and Honest Dan have to part ways. Unfortunate, but I don't have time to think about it, as I have to go deal with the settlers and Covenant, as they've all turned hostile and are now out for blood after what happened in the compound. Probably goes without saying they don't put up all that much of a fight, and within a minute or two we have access to a brand new settlement. Before heading up the next quest, I head to Good Neighbor, as Cleo is the best source I know of when it comes to buying ballistic fibre in bulk, which I then use to upgrade my defences once more. The plan was to head to Finch Farm next, as now that I have somewhat decent defences, I figured I could stand a chance against the Forge and all their fire-based weapons. Before that though, something important came up, and yes, it actually was something worth doing for once. I got a call from the castle, informing me that Ronnie Shaw had just showed up. Figured I may as well get this quest out of the way now, as it means I'll have progressed the Minutemen's quest as far as physically possible, outside of siding with them for the main quest. Turrets and mines? Easy enough to deal with. One pissed-off sentry bot intent on ripping the skin from my bones? Not so much. Shockingly, the best way was to just fire at him repeatedly and keep my distance. Who knew? I really need to try and get out of my melee weapon mindset when playing these games. You ever notice how often I walk up to someone in these videos with a gun and fire at point blank? It's concerning. After looting Sarge for all he's worth, me and Ronnie head back to the surface, and I construct the artillery to complete the Minuteman's questline. I take a moment to go and build artillery at as many of my settlements as I possibly could. This once again ties back to the Minuteman questline. By this stage, I am not sure if a full railroad playthrough is actually possible, because if I must lie to Father about the situation at Bunker Hill, I will fail the run. So by that stage, I may need to side with the Minutemen. Thus, the artillery is for getting rid of the Brotherhood of Steel. It's not worth pondering for the time being, so after I'm done building my gun pointed at the head of the Commonwealth, I run down to Finch Farm, and after Abraham admires Abraham's suit, Abraham agrees to help Abraham get his family sword back. The Forge outside the Ironwork are unironically some of the hardest enemies I have fought yet. Again, my damage output is there to dispose of them in a timely manner, but they could very much do the same to me if I let my guard down for even a moment. Oddly enough though, inside the building, I'm able to pick them off from a distance a lot easier. Plus, not as many of them seem to be carrying flamers or throwing Molotovs for whatever reason. When I meet up with Jake and Slag at the end of the factory, I convince Jake to walk away and not murder the innocent right in front of him, which of course incites the fight. Granted, I fired the first shot while they were all still bickering amongst themselves, because after all, time waits for no man. Within a few moments, the Fords are no more, and it's just down to me and Jake versus Slag. The lever action rifle was doing okay against him, but all the while I was taking too much damage in return, so I tried something else. I switched to the axe, and began to wheel on Slag to my heart's content. While I am not too proficient in melee weapons, the bleed effect plus the stagger with every hit makes the rest of the fight a complete joke. Grognak's axe also has a surprisingly low action point cost for attacks and bats when compared to other two-handed melee weapons. Therefore, I put that skill to good use to quickly break down the power armor before finally launching Slag into the air. Jake begs for forgiveness and I send him back to his parents. Before I leave the Ironworks though, I make sure to free the surviving prisoner so that they may carry on doing whatever it is they want. I was hoping that I could recruit them to one of my settlements, but that is not the case unfortunately. I returned to the farm to get a front row seat to some of the underwhelming family drama before being allowed to have free reign over the Finch family's land and livelihood. Another settlement saved, so what's a few more as I walk a stone's throw up the road to the slug and help them with their sugar mutant problem, and for once this actually makes sense, as the mutants are in fact close by. There are a couple of bullet sponges amongst the ogres, but nothing I couldn't handle by this stage, and as such, we recruit our first set of ghouls to the Minutemen. Continuing this path, I do the quest with the people of Greentop, and they want me to clear out the raider infestation of the Dunwich Boars. I'm at a point now where it's becoming quite clear the game wants me to make an upgrade to my weapon, or just use a new one, as even these somewhat run-of-the-mill raiders are beginning to take a lot more punishment than they could before. As for now, I'm in a somewhat good position, as the descent down to the Dunwich is so big that I can just snipe a majority of them from a safe distance, without having to worry about one of them sneaking up on me and screaming "You're dead" in my ear. At least I'll have the option soon, I suppose, as I need to be level 25 before I can get my next damage boost. By upgrading the Slave Saber, I am currently level 23, therefore, not much longer. Just like the Forged, the raiders inside the structure seem to be on the weaker side when compared to those I fought at the entrance. No clue why that is, but I suppose it doesn't matter. They're dead, the present trips out for a little bit, which I believe is the third or fourth time something like this has happened, and then I return to Greentop. I took a little time here to do some of the more boring settlement quests off camera, and now I'm pretty close to level 25, and currently only slightly burned out of hearing Preston repeat the same 4 lines of dialogue like he has a pull-me string on his back. To that end, I'd switch it up by finally making some progress in the main quest, by entering Park Street Station and giving the Triggermen a run for their money. They are a little healthier than I thought they'd be this time around, some of them taking up to 3 shots to go down. Sadly for them, I returned to my good friend Alan and restocked on ammo, so really not a single one of them was making it out of this alive. For those of you wondering, I didn't spend my perk at level 24, as I figured saving it to have 2 perks at level 25 made more sense, so I could enhance both my gun nut and armor skills to the next level. After I get done schooling the Triggermen on their questionable attire, I like Dino with free Nick from captivity, before glancing their way back into the entrance, where we confront Chunky Malone. I put that Lincoln charm to good use once more as I saved Darla from a life with Skinny, a life that will be ending approximately at the end of this sentence. Outside in the not-so-fresh air, I agreed to meet Nick in Diamond City, and seeing how close I was to hitting level 25, I begrudgingly helped Tinker Tom with one of his reading quests, so that I can get just enough to advance and have access to some very much needed upgrades. I'm able to increase the Slave Saber's damage from 68 up to 97, and as for my suit, well, now offers me 90 points of energy and basic damage resistance as opposed to the previous 65. All in all, a very nice upgrade going forward. I think by this stage I've been playing for so long that I kind of just started doing random things that were not part of the challenge, such as taking out the raiders inside of Hardware Town, and promising to go get the baseball items removed, for some unknown reason. I mean, any experience is good, mind you, but you would think I had enough on my plate.
You'd be insane not to sign him up.
You certainly made an impression on Beacon. He's never spoken about or lied about anyone so highly before. Welcome to the railroad.
More baseball memorabilia for Moo, although I did sell him the World Series bat after the fact.
Why should I join you?
If you're having any doubts, you shouldn't. Not very many of us live to retire. But if you're like me, that doesn't matter. There are great wrongs
Better
that
yet,
need
after the
righting.
tools are out of the picture, I can take care of another task that is just east of my current location.
Glad to be aboard.
And I
It
really do need to
seems
take
we're
care of,
very
as
lucky
I
to
am of
have
course
you.
trying to build
So you're in.
trapped in the fridge.
Now we need to
Maybe
know what to
Dave is,
call
of course,
you.
something that is nice to do, but things
Secrecy
get more
keeps us
personal
alive.
whenever we run into
Code
Bullet,
names are a part
a
of that.
raider slaver.
So what's yours?
While the irony here would be to, of course, kill him with a bullet of my own, I decided on a much more
Call
personal
me
attack as I proceeded to beat
Professor.
him down.
You certainly
With over
demonstrated
300
your
successful
intelligence.
wrestling matches,
Professor
I don't
it
know
is.
what per
Your
bullet here was
first
hoping to
official order
accomplish,
is to
but
deliver
he
Dr.
certainly wasn't
Carrington
going
his
to be
prototype
victorious.
and see
With
if he
one
can use
final
another pair
uppercut
of
to the
hands.
jaw, he
But
goes down
first,
permanently,
it's time
and I
to meet the
continue to
rest
take
of the
Bill
gang.
back to his home.
The
We got
location
into
of
a
our
bit of a
HQ
snag
is
along the
well
way,
armed.
that being the Gunners now occupying Quincy. I have to assume these are the same ones that
You
threw
didn't see
Preston
anything
the guy out,
suspicious.
so I do him a favor and take them
Hi.
all on by myself.
Hey, Rook.
Things were
The
going
name's
well,
Drummer Boy.
right up to the point when I
It's
ran
my
out of ammo.
envious
There's no way
job
for me to
keep
collect
track
more
of
ammo
all the
right now,
dead
as none of them will drop
grab
the type
incoming
that I need,
agents
and I
and tell
refuse
them
to
where
leave in the
they're
middle of a
needed.
fight.
I don't
So I
suppose
used the
we'll
next best
switch
thing,
places.
that being Grognak's axe, as well as Lincoln's highly trained fist. Truthfully, I haven't been putting as
Why is
many
that
points as
bad
I would
job?
like to in the
Runners
hand-to-hand
at
and
the
melee
bottom
weapons,
of the totem
as I've been
pole.
focusing on the other parts that offer damage
HQ's
resistances, and
runners
of course
cut
things
above
like gun
field
up
work.
armor.
We'll be
But to my
seeing you
shock,
soon.
it doesn't seem to matter all that
Excuse
much,
me.
as both
Can't
methods
wait
of
to get out
combat
of
seem to be
this.
going rather well. The final gunner gets
Welcome
the
to
ever
the
so
family.
deadly of justice,
We're
once
colorful
again
and
having
argued.
Lincoln emerge the
Speaking of
victor.
which,
With tit-tat, the gunner gone, I travel once more back to Farfport.
Don't they need you here? My job's mainly you, and you are Let's go then. I'm all ready to go.
Yep.
All right, Deacon.
What I am trying to say is once I clear them out, I fast travel back to Alan Lee and buy more ammo.
Do the same.
For some reason, only now do I decide to just use a nearby chair to sit around and wait 2 days to buy more ammo, and then just rinse and repeat until I'm satisfied. I believe I left with just a little over 1,100 bullets, so that should be assorted for a while, yes. Oh, and Billy followed me all the way here. That's not important to the video at all, I just found it odd. Well, after our long voyage there and back again, I returned Billy to his parents, who are also conveniently still alive. Honestly, I was hoping for some environmental storytelling skeletons, but beggars can't be choosers, I guess. With Billy saved, it got me thinking about other potential NPCs that are stranded in certain locations, and my mind immediately went to Curie, which is convenient, as I did say I wanted to get all the companions I possibly can for this railroad run. On the way to Vault 81, I came upon the crashed UFO as I was travelling south from Overland Station.
So the
I
switchboard
could only
was crawling
assume
with
he is in the
bad
same band
guys.
of aliens as those from the
Mine's in
Mothership
shit
Data
too.
DLC, and
Any of that
therefore
true?
he feels the
Or
wrath
was
of
Deacon
Abraham,
bullshitting
much
me
like his
again?
brothers did before. To be fair, I didn't confront him first. I waited until he fired the first shot.
Pretty much.
So
That's
really,
hardcore.
I was
How'd you
just
take down the
defending
old
myself.
HQ?
I could smooth talk my
Please
way
tell
into
me
the
you didn't
vault
go
by telling
along
the
with
truth along
Deacons
with
in
some
and out
speech
like a
checks,
ghost crowd.
mainly because fusion cores are my easiest source of income, so like hell I'm getting rid of 4 of them.
Let's
To
just
begin
say
the quest with Fury,
we
you need to
found
do a few
flaws
things
in the
around the vault
facility's
first,
defenses and
or at
exploited
least
them.
I think you do. I'm honestly not
that's one way of
sure. You
doing it.
may just need to leave
Well,
and re-enter,
welcome
which I
to
do
the
anyway
party.
whenever these people have the president
what
play
happened to
fireman
Tommy
and retrieve the
Whispers,
little girl's lost
we need
cap.
another tough son
On
of
the
a
bright
bitch that
side,
can
I
get
got to
shit
meet some of
done.
those environmental storytelling skeletons I mentioned a minute ago, and I truly wonder what stories
Who's
this one
Tommy
has to
Whispers?
tell.
Tommy was a second heavy at HQ. He went
Once I
KIA
returned,
after
Austin
the
has been
Institute
infected with
assholes
mouthful
took out
rat
the
disease,
switchboard.
and only I
With
can
him
save
gone,
I take the next
I've
part
been
about as
running
slow as
missions
physically possible,
nonstop.
as I really
So
don't
I'm
want to
damn
have to
happy
carry around the
here.
mole rat disease
They
for the
call
rest
me
of the
Glory,
game. As let's be honest,
the
I'm
angel of
22
death.
shoot, and the only cure is going to the
Ass-kicking
boy.
poster child of a
Thankfully,
liberated
I am
sin.
able to make it through like a Walking Dead protagonist, and somehow not get bit. I can converse with
I
Fury.
like it.
For the briefest of
Sounds
moments, I
alright.
thought I would need to lie and
You're
say I was
helping out my
tech personnel
people.
so I could let her out.
So some
But
advice?
let's not kid ourselves.
Kiss up to
This
Tinker
is
Tom.
Fallout 4.
He's
Those
batshit
dialogue
crazy.
options are
but
really
he's got
just
all the
4
good
yeses.
stuff.
Hell, even no means yes to Curie as she opens the door, lets me in
Noted.
regardless.
You
of my
take
choice.
care out there.
After curing the boy, that's me done with 81, but the whole companions thing got me thinking I should
Hey there.
really pay the
Want me
Brotherhood
back on
Cambridge a
deck,
visit.
huh?
They may be in the same
Uh-huh.
faction as the Brotherhood from Fallout
Anything new?
3,
I'd prefer
but
to
they're
leave the
more like the
latest
Brotherhood
gossip
from
and fashion
Vegas,
tips for
and with
the
their
others.
hatred for the
Tom's
Synth
quiz
Railroad,
on how to
plus they're
find your
muscling their way
ideal
into settlements
mate
later on,
especially.
they have to go.
Not right
Considering
now.
they were being assaulted by
change your
ghouls at the
mind.
time of my arrival, they were not really in the best position to fend me off as well, so a few well-placed torso shots is all it takes to make me public enemy number 1. If anyone's curious, the lack of headshots to do with YouTube cracking down on violence with Fallout content over the past few months, and through trial and error, I think decapitations or head pops are the main reason. This means I cannot inflict as much damage as I would like, but them's the breaks, I suppose. No use dwelling on that. Next, I took Edward from earlier up on his offer, and began working with Jack Cabot. For my first assignment, I am tasked with retrieving a box of mysterious serums that were taken by a group of raiders. To find them, I am supposed to travel to their last known location and track them down from there. In a stroke of brilliance, whenever I was traveling to the Nakano's residence at the beginning of the run, I just so happened to have marked the exact location on the map where the raiders are, so in other words, I can just skip the first part of the quest. These raiders are meant to be stronger than normal thanks to passing around the special needle between each other, but in reality, all they probably got was a disease, and are in fact pretty easy to kill. Task 2 of 3 for the Cabots is finding Jack's sister, Emoji. Similar quest structure to part 1, I just head to her last known location and ask around for her whereabouts. The difference is this time I don't mind to skip this part, and after conversing with Magnolia, I learn that she may have joined a cult. Fantastic. I also recruited Creedy while I'm here. You'd think he would give me reduced price, seeing how we've met him before, but that is not the case. Regardless, I send him off to the castle, where he will never be seen again. Emogene is currently being held at the amphitheater down by the river. Initially, I just convinced the leader to let her go, and after conversing with her, finish up the second task. While that could be the end of it, a lot of you suggested that the cult here needs to go due to their borderline kidnapping ways, and I wholeheartedly agree with that statement, and begin what is probably the 100th slaughter of the day. One final time to the Cabot house, and it's the last part of the quest, where me and Jack are informed from Edward that the raiders from before have assaulted the asylum that Jack's men have been using as a base in an attempt to free Jack's psychic-powered father, so that he may wreak havoc on the wasteland.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
What this really amounts to is more first-person shooter action down some run-down old corridors, so you know, the Fallout 4 special. Not saying I don't enjoy Fallout 4's gameplay, just saying that while the idea behind the quest is interesting, Gameplay-wise, it's more of the same. When we make it past the last of the drugged-out raiders, we meet up with dear old Lorenzo, and I am faced with a bit of a conundrum. We have shown throughout these runs that prisoners being held against their will for no good reason are to be freed just like any of the slaves we come across. Thing is, there's a very good reason Lorenzo's being held captive, and that's that he'll kill everyone if he gets out. It's a tough decision, but I figured the morally right choice is to let Jack overdose him with Kraz and complete the quest that way. One good thing to note about coming here is that I was also able to get the Charisma bobblehead, which basically frees me up another perk point going forward, so that's nice. The next one of my small side tasks that you all wanted to see me complete was to help Travis with his confidence problems back in Diamond City. Not specifically just to help Travis out, but rather to take part in the fist fight near the start of the quest. While the fight may be staged, it's still a fight nonetheless, so Lincoln is here to take part. Problem is, this particular plan may have given Travis a little too much confidence, because at one point he pulled out his gun and decided that death was in fact the best way to teach the two thugs a lesson. I didn't sign up for this, but it's far too late now, as I accidentally drive my knee right into Gouger's face, instantly killing him after Travis had already shot him a few times. Somehow this does not fail the quest, and the rest plays out as normal, bar the occasional altered line of dialogue where Travis believes that it's his fault for killing Gouger. This quest is meant to be completed fairly early, I assume, as the raiders that take Vadim prisoner aren't able to put up much resistance when me and Travis kick down the front door. Seeing how I'm in and around the Diamond City area, and most of my tasks aren't being completed for the time being, it was back to the main quest. I told them everything I knew about my son's kidnapping, and then thanks to telling the truth to the mayor, can get the keys and fast travel to Fort Hagen to deal with the balanced breakfast. The synths are a joke. Incredibly brittle, and thanks to my suit upgrades, energy weapons are starting to become just as ineffective as normal bullets. Much like Bullet before him, Kellogg isn't getting out of this the quick and painless way, but rather I begin brutally beating him senseless around the room while he is powerless to stop me.
For this no hold part.
No super fancy takedown this time around. Just one punch too many finally puts a cyborg out of commission, and after scooping out his ideas, I can head off to Good Neighbor and sprint past all of his pointless memories until we find the one that talks about me. Before leaving Good Neighbor, I make a point to invite Roy Campbell to live in Sanctuary so that he isn't stuck in Good Neighbor for the rest of the time. I suppose that means it's off to the glowing sea now, and as is usually the case, I encounter the Brotherhood on the way. You're not best pleased with my whole murder spree at the police station, are you?
Your arrival was not calculated.
And thus wiping out the crew in the process. I had a rather relaxing jump to the glowing sea for a change.
What do you mean
Everything
it wasn't calculated?
Temporarily unable to process verbal input. Still processing preliminary adjustments to statistical models.
Granted, this is also assuming I had
Commencing introduction. I was, and will most likely be, there. Predictive
Well, nice to meet you, Pam.
Introductory token recognized. Nice to meet you too, unknown entity. I provide first-order approximations of the behaviors of all residents of the region, designated Commonwealth. Rephrasing. I predict the future.
Start this now, as I just hit level 31 and have taken the 4th rank in the Rifleman perk, bumping my damage with the Sleep Saber up to 109. To me, that seems like way more than enough to take out what I consider to be usually weak
That's
robots,
amazing.
especially when you realize that this DLC can be started at level 15. I went over the first part of the Mechanist DLC in great detail in my last video when I had to grab the Assault Drone hit, so I don't want to risk repeating myself. Just here, the first few quests literally just have me walking to specific locations, shooting a RoboBrain, and then
Even if
taking
you're wrong
Zephyr and
sometimes, that's
fighting against the
unbelievable.
Rust Devils is a little bit more difficult, but that's simply because
Reliance on this unit's
the
predictions
second pissed off
is
Sentry
deemed
Bobby has the press blowing up
unwise.
today.
Operation complete.
But his thick-ass legs make it pretty difficult for him to follow me around the
No
tower.
current or previous models predict your
as long as I
presence
make
or
sure you avoid his meteor
existence.
cannon thing.
Weary.
After we deal with that,
What
we
is
steal
your
yet
point
another
of
brain,
origin?
making Lincoln the #1 record holder for most brains in his inventory at one time.
I'm from Vault
Or at
111,
least I hope.
if that's what
Well,
you
all
mean.
that leaves is for us to
Accessing.
assault the Machinist main quarters, But to do so, we need to equip a robot with a device called the MSAT so that they can open doors inside the building. The natural choice is Ada, but I decided to go purple by choosing Cogsworth. Apologies, did I say Cogsworth? I meant Legsworth. The initial reason that I went for this ungodly abomination was that I believed without his little Mr. Handy Buzzsaw flamethrower that he'd be completely defenseless. But that wasn't
Sorry,
the case.
Tinker
I
Tom's
figured
got
this
me
out when he
doing...
began headbutting random Brotherhood soldiers who were standing guard around Boston Airport. Also, yes, for some reason, before confronting the Mechanist, I assaulted the airport and slowly but surely took out every single Brotherhood member there. It was a grueling, painful time, but I did it. Ultimately, it did nothing for me as I cannot reach the server from here, and no doubt they'll respawn later. So really, I was just doing this for the sake of doing it. Anywho, back to the task at hand, me and Legsworth began delivering sweet headbutting justice as we destroyed all of the Mechanist's misguided goons as we cleared a path.
Recalibrating.
The waves of enemies you have to fend off at the end were mostly harmless, thanks to Legs here working as a pretty solid distraction. The only trouble with the ones around 3 at 4 is trying to explode, or when the mines started coming down, is I don't necessarily have great explosive resistance. I was able to procure an absolute mountain of robot parts and materials that would be great for settlement building, modifications, and money, so I can't be that annoyed. When we make it to the final wave, we are just fighting the scraps that remain, so it isn't long before I convince the Mechanist to confront me, Robot the Cyborg, and explain the situation of the robot's failed logic. I can convince her to give up the title, and therefore bringing the DLC to a close, and granting me the Mechanist workshop, which will go down as the most amount of work for a single settlement this entire marathon of the video. Keeping up the pace that I am currently on, I decided I would do the DLC in order, and that now would be the best time to do so. With that in mind, I silence a few raiders and open the doors of Vault 88 and offer my services to the Overseer. After taking out the ghouls and starting up the workbenches, by all means I could technically leave right now, as I have what I came for. But as someone pointed out to me before, if I conduct all of the Vault experiments without harming anyone, and only choose the nice experiments and outcomes, then the Vault-Tec Overseer will leave, rendering the facility a settlement and not some sort of deranged experiment. Therefore, that's exactly what I did. Please do not judge me on my terrible settlement building skills. I have only ever put effort into a single structure, and it was during my first ever playthrough. For anyone who doesn't follow me on Twitter and doesn't know what I'm referring to, here you go. There isn't a lot to talk about with this DLC, so for the experiments, I just used the essential oils on the power cycle, made sure the drinks had caffeine in them and nothing else, and finally made the slot machines pay out more money more often, as opposed to giving everyone a crippling gambling addiction. With that, the Overseer leaves, I run the vault, and I suppose it's off to Far Harbor for the time being. Returning once more, I finally offer my assistance to the townsfolk, rather than leaving them all defenseless by purchasing all of their ammo. First, I go and help Andre, who appears to be slowly dying. There are multiple ways to treat him, with either intelligence or a first aid check, but I go with the rarely seen option by using one of the mysterious serums I got from the Cabot questline, which immediately cures him from his deafness. That was by far the quickest way to help out the town, and show them my good intentions, but if I truly wish to win them over, I'll need to get deep into some side quests, so I go around and grab every task possible before approaching Longfellow and asking him to lead me to Arcadia, the synth safe zone. While traveling, we come face to face with the island's unique band of raiders, known as the Trappers. Basically, raiders who like to indulge in a little bit of cannibalism, all while wearing lobster traps for helmets. Seems very normal enough to me. Other than those little changes, they aren't all that different than fighting against normal raiders in the base game. The mechanical output of my gun still holds up against these psychopaths. While traveling with Longfellow, I realized I was close to one of my quests, which was to clear out some ghouls and fix up the fog condensers for the town, so they did not become fish food. After doing this, I decided that I would do all of the side quests for the citizens of Far Harbor before meeting up with Dina and starting the main quest in the DLC. Just thought it would make things flow a little better, plus if I remember correctly, gaining the trust of the town helps with the ending that I wanted. Next task was heading all the way west to the Eagle's Cove Tannery to find some tools that will help with the defense of the town. Really, it's just clearing out more ghouls in a closed-down environment, but it's pretty fun to just effortlessly decimate them with my current build. Once I have the tools, I am approached by an individual called Machete Mike. He offers to buy the tools for, frankly, an insane amount of money, but I have
told me to give you this.
An extraordinary feat to recover this. But that's hardly the point. Without a lick of training, and us knowing hardly anything about you, Des has invited you to join HQ. It would have been nice if she had consulted with her second-in-command. What's done is done. Since you're here now, we might as well put you to work.
Dealing with the legendary crawler at Dalton Farm, another settlement quest, by the way, I get on with the captain's dance until the legendary Mirelurk Queen. Initially, the prospect of fighting the creature seemed a little daunting, but it became clear very quickly that it was
one of our field agents, Old Man Stockton, needs help with the runaway synth. H222. So headquarters, as always, puts out the fires that others can't be bothered to put out themselves. Paranoid old bat won't even tell us the problem. He insists that we get our intel from a dead drop.
For the next few weeks. For the next 40 minutes or so, I just began clearing out the nearby settlements.
Sounds like an important mission.
Nothing too out of the ordinary other than helping an old man play the most one-sided game of card events in history, thanks to the number of turrets I was able to construct. By the time I finished all of the tasks around the town, I've reached level 39, finally allowing me to get the last 2 ranks in the armor and gun that perk, and therefore making what could very well be the last upgrade to my arsenal. The Slave Saber now does 140 damage and has a fire rate to boot, and as such it goes from the 4,000 to the 5,000 to reflect this.
Please tell me Deacon taught you that at
least. It has 110 of both energy and basic damage resistances on top of all the points I put into the toughness.
I'll get it done.
You sound rather
Lincoln is now surprisingly tanky individual.
Stockton is a prominent businessman
enough
at
stalling, I make my way into Acadia and have a nice
near
chat with
there.
Nick Duracell,
Use the escape tunnel in the back to get
we
there
chat for a
quicker.
little bit and he asked me to meet with the other people around the facility, so I do just that. After a few moments, I meet up with Kasumi, the Colonel's daughter,
I
and
still
the main
can't
reason
believe
we're in
Des
this
assigned you to our HQ.
Speaking with her is what truly starts the main quest of Far Harbor, as she tells us her suspicions about Demon and his followers fired Chase.
Be that as it
There
may.
are a few ways
Put
we can go
simply,
about this,
you
such as
shouldn't
sneaking
be
into his
here.
office and hacking a terminal,
It isn't a question
or
of
eavesdropping
competence.
a conversation
It's a
between
simple
Demon
matter
and
of
Faraday.
security.
Both of these options are good in their own right, but I didn't max out my speed skill for nothing. So instead,
Letting me join is a risk,
he explains the
but in time you'll be glad you did.
We'll see.
And the nearby children of Adam that are on board a submarine.
Since you're one of us
Both
now,
sides
might
seem
as
to
well
want
try to
Acadia's
keep you
help to get rid
alive.
of the other,
If you
whereas
need
Demon
patching up,
wishes to find a
see
peaceful
me.
solution. Peace is certainly the preferable outcome, so I offer my assistance in any way I can, and he informs me that his
I'll probably
memories
have
that he
to take you
requires
up
are
on that
board
more
the
than I'd
submarine the
like.
children of
You
Adam
and
are
Glory both,
Yes,
I'm
so I will
sure
need
I'll
to
be
find a
kept
way inside.
gainfully employed.
Before that, I also
Word to
pledged
the
my assistance
wise.
to Faraday and
Be
Chase,
prepared
but
to
not before using
improvise.
the merchant here to
You
make
may
an
find your
unexpected
operational
weapon upgrade.
orders
Turns out the shop here has a legendary variant of the lever action rifle that fires an additional
You're
projectile
obviously
with
one
each
of the
shot
smartest
fired,
people here.
which, as you may
What do you
expect,
really mean
leads
by
to a
that?
significant
No one
damage
doubts
upgrade.
Desdemona.
Without hesitation, I purchase the gun, transfer over my
Inspiration.
attachments, and become
Well,
rather
let's
giddy
just
at the
say
fact that I got an
strategy may
additional
not be
60
her
damage over the
forte.
normal variant of the rifle. Seeing how all the parts I have modified the gun come from the Slave Saber, I rightfully
You can
choose to
confide in me.
name
I
the
hesitated
Slave
to
Saber
bring it
6000.
up, but you will be risking your life on our
Version of the weapon.
behalf. When planning a
Well, to test out
mission,
the
a
weapon
certain
right away,
degree
I
of
helped
clinical
Chase track down a
detachment
synth
can
that was
be
supposed to arrive in
invaluable.
Acadia a few days ago, but has since gone missing. Well, after talking with Brooks and Far Harbor, as well as following a
I could see
surprising
that.
amount of blood,
Focus on the
we learned that
objective.
the synth was
Everything
in fact
else is just a
Back
distraction.
Cannibals
Good
may
luck.
not be vampires, but they are damn well close enough for Lincoln, so without a second thought, I begin blasting, and the leap in power of the 6000 is noticeable almost immediately. While I am in the area, I assist with task number 2 for Demon's people, which is to grab some storage scraps from a nearby ship. Nothing much else to go over, it's a simple fetch quest, short and sweet. I wouldn't even be going over
I'm
these quests
very
at this
busy.
stage, but I think it's important
Unless
to show
you
that
need
the
my
completion
medical
of the quest
expertise,
which was level
please
40,
bother
and as a
someone
result,
else.
I took the 3rd rank in the Lone Wanderer perk, granting me yet another 25% increase to my overall damage, so long as I am traveling without a companion. That's a damage output of 254 per shot for those of you keeping score at home. With that, it's off to the children of Adam, and my only way to make it inside, short of murdering
Any
everyone
news
anyway,
out there, Doctor?
is taking
Nothing
part
that
in their
would
entry
interest
ritual.
you.
This
Now,
has me drink
let's
some
talk
rather
about you.
far-out water, causing the president to trip balls once more. It's been quite the adventure
Not
thus
today.
far for
All
dear
right.
old Abe, and
Excuse
it's
me.
only going to get stranger. After following the visions of the Shadow Woman, I am conveniently led to an idol of the Mother, which I present to the doorman of the children, who then accepts me with open arms.
Bet you never
Now,
met
I know I went out of my way to help out with Far Harbor and Acadia's problems,
Use
but
the
as it
back
stands,
entrance.
I
Too much
can't
traffic
complete a lot of the
for
side quests for the
miles.
children in a way I deem fit for the run, as a lot of them involve lying to people.
You gotta be
To
careful,
be
man.
fair, that's not why I'm
Institute
here.
is everywhere.
I'm here for Demon's memories.
Excuse
After
me.
setting off
The
all of the
census week
alarms
says
and fighting
you're
through
clean.
another small horde of robots,
Hooray!
I get to
What
know
about
one
free?
part of Far Harbor that everyone remembers for the worst possible reason. The memory puzzles.
I'm
I can
relieved,
commend the
actually.
developers for
Whoa,
trying
whoa, whoa,
something
whoa,
different
whoa.
and
Not
expanding
so
on the
fast.
settlement building
Okay,
mechanics for
have
puzzles.
you eaten
It's a good idea.
anything out there?
But the segment goes
Because
on
if
way
you have,
too long for
they
most people.
got you.
The final puzzle in particular is so much longer than the others that it takes about 50% of the overall time. in
Yeah,
assembly.
I've eaten food.
Thankfully, my first ever playthrough of Far Harbor was actually
knew
earlier
it.
this year.
The
back in
Institute
February
has
for
these
preparation for
tiny
this very run.
microscopic
So at the
robots in
very
the food,
least,
man.
I can remember the solution to
And
most of the
they
puzzles,
report.
and therefore don't have to spend
Tom,
as much time in
that's
here.
rubbish.
You just don't get it,
With the
Carrington.
puzzles completed and my mental
Institute is
stability
in
at
your
an optimum
blood.
low, it was time to enter the final stage of the DLC's main quest, as I traveled around the island searching for the different items the memories mentioned. First stop was the
If
Dead Pop
true,
Factory.
that's
The
terrifying.
place is a
If you
massive
had a
suitcase,
shred of
but
evidence
they
for
haven't
any
really
of
been a
it,
problem
agree.
since I sold the training card
Quite
ages ago,
terrifying.
so nothing
Okay.
from here.
If
In the
you
box
really
of the
wanna be
building, you
safe.
dig up the skeleton of the real Captain Avery and find out that the one in
Yeah,
Far Harbor
there's
is
the
in
mole.
fact a synth that
Says
Demon
no
put in
one
her
has
place
to.
after he killed her.
But it will kill
Well,
us
that's
little
certainly
robots.
not
There's a
good, but
battery
I'm
acid
sure
in
it's
that
a
serum
one.
of yours.
You can't
Next
nuke
stop
an
is
omelet
the
without
Graphic Hell.
irradiating some
It's
eggs.
here where we find the
You ready,
nuclear
Sean?
launch codes that we can use to detonate the submarine the children of Adam call home.
What's in the shot?
Pretty sure that would
Got
be the
algae,
equivalent of a
some yummy bacteria culture,
So really,
Just a little bit of battery ass. But we gotta burn those babies out.
On the way to the last
it's a
important
hard
memories, and the
of
game
the
begins to
system,
glitch out
man.
as textures and objects begin to disappear as reality warps before my very eyes. Perhaps this is Fallout 4's way of telling me to never make a video of this length
Hit me,
again.
Tom.
But I digress. The final
now
memory
you
leads me to find the wind farm kill switch. This is basically the opposite of the launch codes, as using this will turn off the fog condensers, causing the town of Far Harbor to be overrun.
Now
Both
you're
options
encouraging
aren't
him.
exactly the peaceful solution I was looking
get
for,
it, man.
so I returned to Demon.
I make things around here.
It's important to note
go
that
and do-
Demon has
you do
no
whatever.
recollection of
And
any of
come
the
back,
events in these
and I'll
memories,
set you
hence
up.
why we went looking for them. He claims he's different now after the memory wipe, and that with our help, he knows how to bring peace to Far Harbor.
I'd appreciate
While
the
all
help.
of this is
You and me,
pretty shitty work,
we will
he makes a
team
good
up
point stating that if the
and
citizens
kick
of Far
those son
Harbor
of a bitches
ever
out of
found
here.
out about his
Now,
past mistakes,
I got
they
all
would
these
undoubtedly
ideas in my
form a
head.
idiot and
It's
kill the
building time.
inside. And considering we know for a fact that Alan Lee was angry enough to kill just a random Children of Adam cultist who stumbled into town, I am liable to agree with Dima here. Dima's plan is to get rid of the leader of the Children of Adam through violent means and replace him with a synth duplicate that will then agree to leave the people of Far Harbor alone. I am not exactly in the same mindset that the High Confessor should be killed, so when the time comes to confront him, I tell him the truth and give him the choice to leave the island for good, and that no one will come after him. Unfortunately, he agrees. I then return to Dima and meet the new Confessor bot, and I'm now finished with my business in Far Harbor. Oh yeah, I also bring Kasumi back to her parents. That whole part of the plot
Everyone's all, you've been hitting the
Before
kids
getting
way
back to the
too
main
hard.
quest, I also
But I
completed
got
the
my
big
eyes
big
open.
quest to recruit
I see.
Hancock as the last of my
Hey there.
companions.
The boys
Honestly
have been
surprised I
working
didn't
on
do
some
that
new
earlier
drawings.
when I recruited McCready,
Wanna take a look?
but oh well. I also went ahead and bought the house in
I'll take a look.
Technically a settlement, so it counts in the grand scheme of things. Alright, now it is finally time to get back on track to the main quest, and compared to everything else, it's probably going to fly right on by. I construct the teleporter with the help of the railroad at Mercer Station and agree to go in undercover, but like I said earlier, if I'm forced to lie to proceed, I will have to back out and help the Minutemen instead. That does mean when I meet up with Father inside, I don't get to immediately blow his head off, and instead agree to run around and meet the leaders of the Institute. I also fulfill my promise to Big Green by heading into the depths of the FEV lab to pick up a nice little bottle of Super Mutant Cure. After that's over with, I meet up with Liam, the railroad's man on the inside, and agree to help him and Z1 continue to sneak synths out of the Institute. I relay the plan to Desdemona, and she changes it almost immediately, insisting that we use the opportunity to not only get 13 synths out, but all of the ones that wish to be free. That's a rather big undertaking, that for the time being, it's for all while I help Father out with his tasks as I remain on the cover. Taking down the raiders is as simple as it's ever been, and once we reach the top, I use the recall codes on the raider synth. Assuming that the Institute are going to rewrite his memories, it's likely he will be born anew and escape with the rest of the synths when the time comes. After a job well done, the next quest is the Battle of Bunker Hill, and while informing Desdemona of the situation, I also agree to help out in the situation at Tyconda Safe House. Spoiler alert, they have all been killed by synths and coursers, and therefore it's my job to extract revenge. I dismantle and disable the attackers with ease, and because I didn't get to do it earlier with a Courser and Green Tech, I managed to disarm one right outside the building and engaged in another wonderful match. Lincoln is just far too resilient for him, and as such, it's not long before the jab-jab-hook combo knocks him out for good. Returning to escape for the time being. No clue why, but these guards, and only these guards, were surprisingly tough when compared to the other synths I'd fought up to, or beyond this point.
You don't
Back
say!
on the other hand, and I head for the Battle of Bunker Hill with the full intent of rescuing the synths, of course. The Brotherhood Institute attempted to stop me, but at most, all they managed to do is delay the inevitable righteous fury that's about to descend upon their factions. Even power armor is of little issue, and let's keep in mind, I still have one more point that I can put into the rifleman perk upon my very next level. I let the synths know they are safe, and before X4 can even comprehend the situation unfolding before his very eyes, I put a bullet right between them and made my way for the roof of the CIT ruins, where I am honestly worried I will need to steal the railroad quest line, as I will need to lie to Father if I want to stay in his good graces. Well, remember what I said earlier about no really meaning yes with Fury? Well, something similar applies here, as even after I tell Father the truth that I let the synths go because I believed it was the right thing to do, he is noticeably annoyed and confused by my actions, but in the end, he still allows me to continue working with the Institute. Does this make a lot of sense? Not even a little bit, but if it's going to let me continue the Railroad's quest line, then I'm all for it.
Talking in, bypassing the... Did you... Are you wet? What happened?
Which is the same as usual. Only I once again have to engage in the slowest elevator ride in the world, as I do not have access to power armor to simply jump off the side of the building. It's not all bad though, as I gain a lot of experience by taking the time to single-handedly wipe out every Brotherhood member during the descent. I nearly met my match when I had to grab the agitator without any form of radiation protection bar a handful of Radix. Thank goodness I packed a decent amount of rat away beforehand to help keep it at bay during the ordeal. The sentry bot and assaultrons are child's play by now, so I sweep them under the rug, engage in more Brotherhood violence, and then finish up mass fusion, and somehow be even higher on the Brotherhood shit list. Other than some busy work, that also marks the end of my time with Institute, as I doubt you all want me to go over in great detail about how I convinced Wallace to help us out, or how I read notes from a piece of paper to the people of the Commonwealth. Zooming past all of that, and I'm informed that the Brotherhood are on their way to assault the Old North Church, and sure enough, right as I set my big top hat inside, they are bursting through the walls to try and stop freedom. Sadly for them, they were not prepared for be greeting them upon their arrival. To be fair, who would reasonably think that the 16th President of the United States was not only still alive, but ruthlessly and efficiently shooting his way through some of the heaviest and well-armed factions in the modern world? The Brotherhood in the church did not stand a chance. The Brotherhood at the police station did not.
3D White Professional. Clinically proven whitening ingredients. 100% more stain removal.
I am at the point where I can free-shot murder.
Okay.
Small tin soldiers mean absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things, even if they can outnumber me to the degree they do. Once the bombs are planted, Deacon and Finger Tom make for the skies, and I accidentally missed the initial explosion of the Pridwin, ending the Brotherhood. It also opens up Boston Airport as my last main game settlement, so that's wonderful as well. It was finally time to wrap up the main story, so I travelled back to the Institute once again, and with the help of Z1, staged a coup to release the synths. I am just here as the hype man, as during the conflict, Z1, clearly wanting Father to let his people go, and having watched the Prince of Egypt one too many times, tapped into some sort of godly power and began to menacingly float around the Institute, while wiping out any and all non-believers and slave owners who dared make eye contact with his benevolent microwave. While the scientists faced the wrath of Z1, I spoke with Father and convinced him to help me save as many lives as possible, as was the plan all along. I then made sure to start the evacuation before descending to the reactor and dealing with the final handful of synths that had no desire to break from their bondage. I then slapped that pulse charge on the reactor, teleported out of there with my Roomba boy, blew up the Institute, and ending the game, but not the run. With every single task laid before me finished, it was finally time for what you've all been waiting for. The time had come to take the fight to the Nuka World slavers and free the slaves. The entrance to the park is blocked by Commander Kaler and her small group of gunners. They are just the appetizers to what I'm about to go up against, so I just breezed past them with no issue. They did offer me enough experience to reach level 50, mind you, allowing me to then max out my toughness perk for maximum damage resistance for my build. I saw right through Harvey's lies, but I bear no ill will towards him, as it's clear he too is not a fan of the Raiders, so I spare him and board the train for our final stop. Before confronting the degenerates, I must run their pathetic gauntlet. From getting poisoned to dodging grenade traps, it's nothing I haven't dealt with before. At one point I am left outside, and I think I'm supposed to run from the Raiders shooting down from above. Not on my watch, I return fire and make sure each of them are dead before I proceed. Porter Gage contacts me and tells me about the nearby water pistol that will be necessary to take out the Overboss if I want to get past his electrical shield. Other than said electrical shield, which goes down after 4 squirts, Bolter...
That's it, huh?
like this.
Hey.
Need something?
Hey.
Take this. You're gonna need it.
I need you to get out of your power armor.
No problem.
Hey.
Yeah, what is it? What's up?
Your thoughts?
Anytime you want me to carry some of that valuable gear you're lugging, you just let me know.
What are your thoughts? I don't know.
I think we'd get along better if you started listening to me once in a while.
That was all.
All right.
No.
Seems to be growing well. I need to assign someone to this.
No. Not like this.
What?
This won't take long.
You a new one.
You're done.
Now you're starting to piss me off. Friendship. We're going power shopping.
Goldface's gang throwing Molotov cocktails at one of ammunition houses. They are retaliating by sinking their latest deliveries or criminal attacks right now. But if we don't stop it, it could be a Valentine's Day massacre with civilians get hurt. And keep doing sweeps all over again. So I might have to roll out a special meta task force. Pull together Team Flash. No, I can't. She knows enough. I have to protect their identities too. She's not right about this Amnet.
Seems to be growing well. I need to assign someone to this.
I do wish there was a couple. Why do I have to on Valentine's Day? Yeah. You'll live it down alive. That floor's not that interesting, so what's up? I don't know, there's just something that's suddenly off. It's really it feels. So, what did she say? She's grown. I haven't accepted it. I don't know about that second part, but the first part, she took down a black hole assassin. She led the charge on her shoulder. And she was the only one who knew that Rosso had completely different role. What does that sound like to you? She has grown, and she was right in it didn't. That's because I was consumed with crisis. That came like usual.
Hi. You showed up just in the nick of time.
Not one of you are ever.
Hey, Ada.
Would you like me to go with you? At least now I'll have time to work on my pi to the last digit calculation.
Thanks for your help, Cal.
Our therapy. I'm there. Look, I'm sorry about the I know you meant well. No, I'm sorry. Look, my life coach made my life better. I was just trying to pay it forward. I probably should have gotten the whole story about the breakup. I guess I haven't exactly. But I used to. After I got out of our house, I wanted to take a shot at living alone. And ever since, we became friends. We dated. And in love. But it ran its course, so I dropped off. You good?
Seems to be growing well.
Anyway, it was never gonna work between us. You know? Doesn't matter now. He probably hates me. You sure? Maybe he didn't do everything. Or maybe he forgot you existed.
Excuse me.
Thanks for your help fighting them off.
Who knows? You can't assume that life happens in black and white. Because life happens in gray. And you need to get there and live it. Keith and I were like spies together. We shared the same ambitions and it devoted us only fire together. Cappuccino Grotto is meant to be our greatest love. Even though it only blooms every 25 years. What can I say? We were optimists making plans for the future. We knew that it was set to bloom this year, and once we had our hands on its mind-reading powers, no one would be able to stop us. We would run this town together. Don't! Stop! Why are you running away? When your mom is here with the wife, why would you go over there? So,
You're making that look easy.
I line between love and hate. Why would you just... When I get my hands on the flower... Hello, lover. A case. Looks like a larger version of the type in the store. This orchid is a lot like love. It can only survive in a carefully tended environment. That glass device you gave me.
A pow pow?
Come on, you've been a good boy for most of the year. You've been doing good going potty in the toilet, so why are we doing this?
Good God, DJ. Did it feel good? Pooping in your pants? And why'd you do it?
Mom wasn't home and you needed mom's help?
Why didn't you get Dad?
Daddy won't go with you.
No, I think you were too busy playing your game. You're too busy being on your phone. Okay, you're too busy watching your YouTube. Oh. Might have one left. Here. You can't be doing that. You go poop in a potty like a big boy. Well, Daddy's home, and he can help you with it, but I've seen you do it on your own, by yourself.
But guess what? All you have to do is go over there to Daddy and say, Dad, I need to go potty. Can you come help me? And even if you go upstairs before him, he will come.
That's just being lazy. He doesn't want to get off his phone. I told him you can't take the phone up there.
And that's what I told him. Where did I put the wipes, Elvis?
Over here.
Where? I don't see them.
There, just threw them up there.
Why? Why did you throw them? Because I was going to use them to...
I thought you were done. My bad.
Seriously, where the fuck they go?
Shit happens all the time to me. Oh, they're over here. Sorry.
Oh, yep, you're poopy too.
Again?
And he has a huge mosquito bite on his thigh.
This one?
This baby.
On the back of it? Yeah. They must get that from you or something. Being that highly allergic to it.
That bad?
I'm not either. He's real bad.
Maybe it just skipped me and it went to the pit. Because I don't have that bad of a reaction.
What? Daddy's belly.
I mean, I guess I could give it to him now.
Yeah. Don't you have like child Benadryl somewhere?
Yeah. I know, baby. I know.
Oh, eat it.
No.
Eat it.
Am I Daddy?
Yeah, they're yours. Go ahead, have them. That's the only one I can find.
That'll work.
With them. Come on. Come on. What? You want pizza? You want one? Go ahead, take it, I guess. I'll go grab another one. Great. It's so low in there that.
I'll show you what I did.
You're gonna eat both of them?
Tilt it enough where it's not going to come out. And you start sucking them up. How much are you supposed to have?
Don't know.
Here, Avi.
Come on.
You need Tylenol?
Probably won't hurt.
Where's your sippy go, buddy?
Help them sleep.
That's not why you get it, silly boy. Hey, after you turn 5, Mommy will let you start to chew bubble gum, but there's a rule with the gum. After you're done chewing it, you need to give it to Mommy and Daddy. We need to have it, and we need to throw it away. Oh.
You can't swallow it.
Your brothers have gotten it in their hair before. When I say yeah, both your brothers. Me?
And your cousins.
Your brother John, your brother Brandon have both gotten bubble gum stuck in their hair. Oh. So you can chew it before 5, but when you're done chewing it, you need to give it to Mommy or Daddy. So make sure we throw it away. It's not good to swallow it. It's not food. It's not good for your body. So, after you turn 5 and you're allowed to chew some bubble gum, what do you do with it when you're done with it? Throw it. You give it to Mommy or Daddy so we can throw it away, right? Okay. And you can only have gum when you ask Mommy and Daddy. You can't get it from one of your brothers and not have your
stepped on something. I didn't stay up all night. How do you know? You're asleep.
I kept waking up.
Oh.
And you weren't in bed, you were over there.
I got your phone on the charger, okay?
Yeah, that is a side effect of this dimension. I barely notice them anymore.
No.
6 years ago, I was developing the technology to open doors to other planes of existence. I was in my office, characterizing dream wrapped in smoke. I was in this office when I got pulled into. But that's not all. There is someone else on the other side of that mirror. How is there possibly the fractal variable caused by the mirror? A duplicate of me. I mean, the mirror left a fake clone of me in the real world. Get me out of here. I'm trying. For 6 years, I've been in my own personal hell. I have to go. You're stuck here. I thought I was gonna die here alone. Wait, now there's 2 of us.
Investigation into the disappearance of socialite Sue Dearborn, day 274 since her parents first hired me to find her. Status update. Nothing. Sue's trail went cold in Midway City after Remington Meister provided the dead end. However, he was there. Meister confirmed that much.
Hey, what are you still doing here? Oh, seriously? Wow. Last night we were standing here staring at the exact same board, same as the night before. Now, you don't think maybe it's time for a little help? And a shower?
Cecile, this is my process. I work things out with the only person that can keep up with my beautiful
Nice to be on the open road. Good neighbor was starting to wear out
We
his
took down
welcome.
the FEMA guy together. That was so great. You're not loving that. All right.
Cecile, you know me. I like
Sounds like you had a rough time of it back there.
Rough? That's
What's
putting
up?
it mildly. Let's put it this way. Can't get much rest when you're sleeping with one eye open. Still, it was the best place for me to set up shop. Diamond City's goons would have run me out of town, and wandering the Commonwealth alone isn't the brightest plan when you're hard up for caps.
In times like these, caps make little sense.
It might make little sense to you, but right now, I need every cap I can get.
Sounds pretty bad.
I guess you could say that. I don't usually go around sharing stuff like this, but you've been pretty straight with me, so I'm gonna be straight with you. It's those 2 There's 2 idiots you saw me talking to at the third rail. Winlock and Barnes. They've been hounding me for months, and it's been driving off clients. No one wants to touch me once they learn I used to run with the Gunners. And I figured if I could get enough caps together, maybe I could buy them out.
Maybe you should stay home today.
I wouldn't trust those guys, even if you paid them off.
Yeah.
I think I am getting
I'm right there with you. Winlock and Barnes have a small army of gunners with them at all times. They might decide to just keep the caps and put a bullet in my head for good measure. If I set up a place to meet them, I'm sure they'd roll in with everyone they've got. Unless, maybe you and I could pay them a little visit and put an end to them before they realize what's going on. Before you get that look on your face, let me just say that I wouldn't even be asking if I didn't trust you.
Get it for me?
Is there any other way to handle this?
If there was, I would have done it already. To be honest, even if they took the money, there's no guarantee they wouldn't change their minds later. And I'd be completely broke and on the run.
What if the gun fell into the wrong hands, just like the cold gun fell into Snark's?
It won't. Trust me.
If you need my help, I'm there.
Wow. I don't know what to say. Truth is, I haven't been able to rely on anyone since I was a kid. Everyone I've met has either tried to rip me off or plant a knife in my back. But you, you're different. We see eye to eye on almost everything. And I have a funny feeling you actually care about what happens to me. That's why I asked for your help. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna make this easy on you. If you feel like helping me with this, head over to the Mass Pike interchange and we'll take them down. If you don't, I'm not going to hold it against you. Either way, thanks for hearing me out. It's nice to know that you care.
That'd be the risk.
Watch out!
What the hell, lady?
You're welcome, by the way.
Oh my god. You sued it?
I'm glad.
No way to get out of this box.
Maybe not.
You showed up just in the...
No one followed us. We're clear.
9 months. Ouch.
Hope you don't feel by the item.
Where have you been? And why did your apartment explode in my face?
Yeah, hate it when that happens.
Look, I'm serious now. Who set that bomb? Why are they trying to kill me? And how long has this been going on for?
My ex, because I know too much about your life.
No, I most certainly don't know why his explosive candy grain.
Ooh. Cheap stuff.
Look, drinks later. Spilling your guts to tell a tragic story, and be now.
Fine. I fell in love with the murderer. Happy? John Loring. Turns out Mr. Dreamy Muscles and Charisma for Miles was also a major arms dealer on the black market.
Why does Loring want him dead?
Because I stumbled across his client list, weapons inventory, and everything. The first time he tried to kill me, I was asleep.
Alright.
Who you calling Slick?
You're safe. But, come on. I just wish I am.
John can track your phone. You call my parents. They're dead.
Alright, then we'll go to the police. I know a precinct captain can help us.
The last time I tried that, they tried to kill me too. John's got cops in the payroll in every city he was.
Then what's your plan to get out of this? Sue, you can't run forever.
Who says I'm running?
You and Loring are hunting each other. That's why you're in Central City.
John's in town for a massive sale. If I can get damning evidence on what he's doing, he goes to jail. Then I go home.
Smell a mystery.
Expired milk.
Look, everything's gonna be fine. Your parents hired me to do whatever it takes to bring you home safely, and that's what I'm gonna do.
How?
Easy. I'm gonna find Loring, I'm gonna get your evidence, then I'm gonna take it to CCPD, and after I do that, I'm gonna take you home.
John's a killer. You'd be risking your life. For me. If you get killed, my parents are out good now. I'm coming with you.
There has got to be a way out of here that we haven't thought of yet.
There isn't. There's only 2 options in this place. Survival or madness.
My husband will be looking for me.
That's how it all starts, don't you understand? You sit here and you think everything's gonna work out. You can't possibly stay here forever. And 22. That's how many times I tried to escape this place. That's how many times I failed. 1,322 reminders that I am never leaving this. So please don't give me another one. I'm really bad here, Nick. I'm sorry. I've been alone for a very long time.
You're not anymore. years ago, and my friends cut him out by bringing it to house.
Heads up.
Yeah, sure. I'll trade
But
with
we
you.
just need to find some liquid nitrogen. Well, I have a lab down the hall. There should be some in there. And nitrogen should slow down the nearest molecules to the lowest enthalpy state possible. Oh my god. It's gonna work.
Thanks for your help.
Heads up.
What's up?
Hey. Yeah, what's up, Captain? I know your phone.
It kind of does. Listen, there was a house fire on Baton Street last month. Okay. The occupant died of smoke inhalation. I'm wondering if you could take a second look.
Joe, this case was already declared an accident.
Hey, I need a fresh pair of eyes on it.
Okay. I mean, what am I looking for?
Whatever you find.
Joe, I mean, I've got a mountain of cases I need to go through, ones that haven't been solved already.
Okay. All I can say is that you'd be doing me a favor. And whatever you find, Bear, bring it directly to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for your help, Flight.
Still knows that warehouse. That's where the deal will go down.
Where are you going?
I'm going with you.
No.
Oh, look. I get it. Chivalry's your brand.
You're an MIT grad, speak 6 languages, and you play... Translation, stay in the car.
And they're off.
Iron
Maiden's out to an early lead, but Piece of Junk's right behind. Old Rusty's as steady as ever. Let's give him a hand, huh? This race is really heating up. It's another great day out here at the track. Remember, we've got new bots in the list for tomorrow. Gonna be a great race.
So, you mind telling me how you know...
Back to the track!
I made to Kyoto for a summer, trained with the blinds.
Don't forget Boston Blaster. He's pulled this out before.
I trained with a guy named Frank at YMCA.
Iron Maiden is still in the lead.
Relax. We're safe here. John's not stupid. Killing me a couple
Junk is really showing off those new mods.
I'm sorry, I believe he do a bit of perfect.
What a race! What a race!
But he does know that someone's after him now. It'll make him harder to get to. Thanks to you.
Got a good, clean race.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Slick. I can't partner up with someone who doesn't think I can call my own mate.
Hang on a second, Sue. Hang on. Just hang on 1 second, please.
Lady Lovely takes on the Iron Maiden. You don't want to miss this.
This isn't it. We're safe.
Do you trust her?
Carry that worthless crap.
Twice. Just pay my debts.
I'll take that as a yes. So,
We are back to square one.
fortunately, we still have John's ledger. He keeps a detailed record of every deal he's ever made in it. Years of evidence against him.
You all get your bets in? I sure did.
Yes. And then we mosey up the stairs in the morning's office.
Hey, pipe down. We got a race.
Her. Oh, technically, I found him. Oh, dear
We got some
God.
fine bots in this race.
Feel Horton metahuman attorney with
Atomic Dreams is still hanging in there.
experience defending non-metahumans. The law is my game.
Bob's your uncle is coming up fast.
What you had going on.
Old Rusty's as steady as ever. Let's give him a hand, huh?
We're kind of in the middle.
This race is really heating up.
And you're her knight in shining.
Remember, we've got new bots in the list for tomorrow. Gonna be a great race.
I read.
AO compromised. Engaging. Damn it! What is it now?
That's what I call a confirmed kill.
Who the fuck is that?
Dave, I didn't think about it before.
Come on, you're holding up the race.
Eventually.
Take them down, boys. Just kill them already.
Sweet.
What the hell? What's going on out there?
We were so in love. I saw him in the mirror. I watched him for 5 years. Gone. And I can't move on.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Whatever you dish out, I do your stuff.
I must be down here.
I lost something down here.
Oh, right. Well, that makes sense.
Okay, what am I?
Cisco asked me to hold down the floor while he don't need to take the inventory, so that's a lie. Wow, what are you doing?
I lost more journal. I haven't seen it for now that I think about it, that's probably I am doing
Damn it! Screw this!
What? Still in here?
knew I liked you.
Look alive.
Let's see what you got.
Loring's office is right up those stairs. And there by the door.
Hey! Freeze! Stop! Shoot! This is not a bad rat.
Okay.
Not finding it. Think I've got something.
You found a ledger.
No, it's a key for a safety deposit box at the CC Mercantile Bank. I'm guessing your ex had a ledger for safekeeping.
Good point. Time to go. We have a problem.
You trust me?
Define trust.
Hang on.
How did you become the elongated? Anyway.
It's really experimented on by a covert organization for years.
Seriously?
No. I rode a bus.
So you're like almost like a superhero. It's not like
It's like any other job you love. It's rewarding as hell. But boy, the hours.
seriously. Good person.
Help you get a key. No ledger.
Loring's ledger will definitely be in the box.
That's okay. Now we know where the box is left.
All we have to do is open it.
And then you can get back.
Listen, I want you to know how much I appreciate you trusting me with your secret. It means a lot.
I can call my friends at CCPD and get a warrant for Loring's deposit box. Shouldn't take more than a day.
We don't have a day. Loring's already spooked. He can lose that box at any minute. I feel like our only chance is... No, it's too crazy.
Come on, share your thoughts with the class.
What if
Got it.
we break into CC Mercantile Bank now? Just us. And take the ledger for ourselves. Oh, come on, Slick. You can't tell me you've always operated by the book.
No, but I can't commit a crime.
I get it. And I respect that. But Ralph, I'm not a hero. So if this is the only chance I have to see my parents again, I have to take it.
So, being a hero, it's about helping innocent.
Look alive.
Commonwealth Savings Bank of McCready, open for business.
No. But we do this my way. We get inside, get the ledger, and immediately bring it to my friends at CCPD. Deal or no deal. So, did you find out? The scorch marks? They're giant burns, like sunlight going down.
So, in your expert CSI,
The violence started. Same way Dr. Light torched the citizen. Joe, what's going on?
look, this isn't the only file I found where it looks like something falling through the cracks. All of these cases involve accidental deaths. All the victims are associated with this guy, Joseph Carver. I'm starting to think that somebody here from CCPD is helping him cover this up. You think there's a mole here? Carver's influence runs deep, man. Governors, mayor, CEOs.
This is what Iris is already investigating. Her lead had to do with the mirror gun that we stole from McCulloch Technologies last year. It fell through.
What do you want?
Why would you give it to her? I mean, was it dangerous?
Yeah, it could put her in danger. Yeah, I don't trust her.
I might love this place. Carver is really dangerous. Iris is your partner and family. I don't think we can trust this right now with anybody else.
Sorry, now addressing your husband again makes it easier if you just accept it. Said that you want to go back to your old life. Look, maybe it's gone, but you can start a new one. I'm glad it's broken. I'm glad it's broken.
I'm tired of looking at a world that doesn't want me anymore. I'm tired of waiting for someone to come and rescue me. And I am sick and tired of telling me that everything is going to be all right, because it isn't. It's going to be all right. Never!
And you're sure this is necessary?
Our credible tip came into CCTV saying this branch was a target for robbery.
Well, this is the only way in or out of the vault. With an anti-theft electrical system. Without the manager's key, automatically activates a 50,000 volt failsafe.
You forgot already.
Smart. Thanks, pal.
See? Fancy Moses. Oh, I understand why people are grossed out when I do that.
You're trying to.
All right.
You know,
What happened if we tinkered with some of these things?
You got a real knack for detective. You ever think about getting behind a desk?
Ugh, that sounds worse than my boarding school. Or the times my parents made me take horseback riding lessons or learning French every Saturday at the U.S. Embassy in Paris.
Gee, your childhood sounds just...
Come on, just leave it.
I didn't say it was awful. It just wasn't me. The truth is, I always hated the whole socialite scene.
Sweet.
Which is why one day I woke up and realized I had no idea who I was. Guess I still haven't figured out exactly where I belong. Poor little rich girl. How could she be so lost?
No, I get it. I used to it. Damn good one. Lost it. I rode that bus and I where I belong.
So, what's home yourself doing?
At least from where I'm standing.
Oh. Pardon me. A big moment. And then if I did that. I do, however, know where you keep your valuables.
They're never What was it, Ledger?
Keep going.
That's why you rented an apartment in Central City. You knew I was keeping tabs on you, so you lured me in. You rigged your own apartment to explode for what? Just to sell the story of a sympathetic socialite running from a...
You bought it. But don't feel bad. You're a good guy. And a hero. There's obviously the best in everyone. Me, I see what I want. And I take it.
You use my detective mind to track down Mark's deposit box. You played everyone. Your parents are desperate to find you.
No. If they found out their only daughter was a thief, you'd be devastated. So you keep your mouth shut about who I am, I keep mine shut about who you are. Deal, elongated man?
So, was anything you told me real?
Yes. Can't know. So your eyes lit. CCPD, you're all under arrest.
Nice try, officer. But I have a silent alarm in my deposit box, so I know you stole that from me.
No phone. Can't switch to those bars without getting seriously toasty. Always come prepared.
You don't want to do this.
Yeah, I do. I'm that guy.
You're not getting rid of me that easily. Give us a minute.
Kill them both.
Inside you? Do you have any idea how disgusting this is?
I'm saving your life.
No, you're not. We are not partners. I have hands on being shot at.
Why are you being so
Let me out.
Sure, I'll let you out, and then I'll take you to Iron Heights as soon as these idiots run out of ammo.
Oh, do you ever shut up? Do something.
I am doing something. What's your contribution to this quaint little scenario? Oh, wait, nothing. This is all your fault.
Always come prepared.
Creo que tienes algo que me pertenece.
Anyone that doesn't want to kill you.
Really?
No huyas, vieja amiga.
I have really got to learn Spanish.
Come and get it.
Eres una tonta.
Una tonta que no puede destruir.
Bueno, bailemos tango.
Captain West. Thanks, Flash. What was that, guys? He's the one who robbed us.
Excuse me?
That's a case of mistaken identity, sir. I'm sure Captain wants to explain.
I'm sorry. I searched the whole area. Let's go. Stop. Again. Promise. I wasn't talking about. Lauren's in custody, but facial recognition isn't picking her up anywhere in Central City.
So your Dearborn is finished. Again.
Shoot him! Shoot them all!
It's on me. Play me, Irish flick. Coltrane soprano
I'll
sax.
find you.
Ralph, you can't beat yourself up. I mean, it's not like you really
I'm supposed to be.
Opening fire!
We've all got our I'm gonna go tear out my crap.
Not worth anything?
Joe told me that you came by CCPD today. I know why you didn't come say hi.
Got it.
Contact lost.
What happened to it falling into the wrong hands?
You spotted the right house. Joe and I found evidence linking Carb's assassins. Crimes the CCPD thought were accidents. Black hole is a lot more dangerous than I even realized. And if you can use this investigation in any way to bring down Carb and his people faster, it's a good thing. And while I don't trust the world, I do trust you. With everything.
Contact. Down.
Sounds crazy. I've seen a lot of strange things in the last 6 years. You being able to control that mirror is the least of it. Sam Scudder can even travel through them. Well, I'm not a meta criminal who jumps through mirrors to rob banks. Much more than that. We're the only people in this world, Eva, so trust me when I say that you are stronger than you think. You're a survivor. Now prove it.
checking on blood work. Cisco's off the grid, cataloging post-crisis metas. Iris is on a story.
And Ralph is who knows where tracing down Sir Deerpond. Okay, no worries, I'll do this solo.
Are you sure you don't want some help? Because, I mean, I am ready, willing, and caffeinated, sir. Over you, Cole.
Thanks, Jester, but I'm good.
And you're really gonna ask me that after what you and your friends did to me?
What did we do?
Wow. My brother, that is epically cold.
Apparently there's something else you don't remember. The gauntlets are just my backup singers.
Hey, you can fly now.
No worries, Flash. He runs us all over it. Guess I don't have a specific if I speak the same way.
Flash, rather than this is second and palm.
Try to monomatic brother.
I'm doing that, sir. Why not?
Since when was our train here?
System update complete. Is there anything else, Barry Allen?
Just one more tweak. In the meantime, I wouldn't mind knowing everything that Chris has changed. Wherever.
Calculating.
Barry Allen is a Flash.
Yeah, I already knew that.
What? Actually, you know what? When I think about it, it does kind of make sense. The whole Star Lab security facility. That's the same voice that takes Flash to the back. And that jawline, though, very distinctive.
Listen, guys, I'm sorry. I'm kind of busy right now.
What are you working on?
Analysis complete, Barry Allen. I've calculated approximately 3.725 trillion changes. Would you like to hear them in order of causality?
Is this a mobile interactive artificial intelligence unit?
Yeah, it is.
What's the point of picking up that junk?
Really? No, you just flip the positron solenoid right.
Hey, no, please, don't mess with that. It's sensitive stuff, and you can't see, Jester.
Yeah, totally. I guess I'll cross superhero tech support. Anyways, if you'll excusez-moi, computer's bound.
He's just trying to help.
I know. So much has changed. After Christ. You know, this morning when I got the memo alert, I was trying to find my parents' graves.
You gotta take things.
There's not even a cemetery there anymore. I've searched every graveyard in Central City. I still can't find him. It just feels like a piece of me is missing. Friends like Hartley Rathaway are enemies now. Just everything. So different.
I'll bet hearing different voices on comms doesn't help either. You want something familiar. Not us.
Yeah, I didn't mean it like that.
It's okay, Barry. I understand. Just maybe take it easy on Chester. If he seems a little overeager, it's because he idolizes the Flash. You're his hero. I'll let you get back to it. There's gotta be some sort of logic to it. Walk me through the night of the particle accelerator explosion again. What were you doing? Like I told you.
One day at a time.
Starting out into that night.
I must apologize for the odd noises I'm currently emitting. A consequence of being mechanical in nature.
You finished building your machine? Yeah. Can we build one here? I did, but we can't use it. Eva, we at least have to try. What are you so afraid of? Eva, I get it. I do.